Go.
Pfeiffer's arriving. Hey, welcome to the Pfeiffer's DD991 podcast again. I'm Rocky. I do what I want already. The grumpy old vet. That's Gilly, Lil Tank, and Thumper. And today we're going to talk about, I don't know, but let's see what happens. And begin.
All right, hello everybody, and we're discussing. I kind of want to get off. You'll hear everybody kind of talk about Trump. Even with us, as much as we talked about what Trump has did good and things like that. But I also want to point out something that's very interesting that I don't like, and this has been brought up before, but hasn't been talked about much recently. So the first one is during the Black History Month meeting that Trump had. Trump introduced somebody very interesting that we all know, and if you don't know, but is going to be the Pfizer CEO. So Trump introduced Albert Bourla. Right, Albert Bourla has been up there pushing this Pfizer. We already know about the ooze shots and everything else. So at the event, the attendees boo him. Right, for whatever reason, Trump comes out here, brings him out, and basically says right here, quote for quote, what Trump says. We also had the head of Pfizer here. So I want to thank him, one of the great people, great businessmen. Thank you, Albert. Now, for me, that doesn't sit very well. Just let that conversation happens. But here's the thing that makes it even more unsettling is when you start filing back a little bit, you'll see that on February 20th, now this is the day before, right? Bring it up. You got newly stacked pharma to meet with Trump on IRA. That's the Inflation Reduction Act and a few other policies. So if you don't know what pharma actually stands for, not big pharma, but it's Pharmaceutical Research and Manufacturers of America. Right. So remember that. So these are manufacturers of America, right? They're a lobbyist group right here, lobbying for them. So pharma identified pushing back on the IRA, which allows the government to negotiate prices for medicines covered by Medicare as one of their top priorities. The main criticism of this is that the IRA involves prices setting, not negotiating, and threatens patients' access due to increasing restrictions out of pocket costs while offering fewer choices covered by it. So they're looking at those, right? So they're looking, the lobbyists are already going after Trump. Trump's introducing the Pfizer CEO. And then you dig in one more time. Give me one sec. I'll pull up their actual market, what the Daily Mail. So this is coming from the Daily Mail, Biosphere, the Gateway Pundit, right? So these are, a mix of outlets that are talking about these things. And I'll get to why another piece is really bugging me.
Moving's in there too.
As you'll see that, the market plunges after new coronavirus or ooze is reported in Wuhan. But Pfizer and Moderna stocks soar, right? So you already have Trump introducing Pfizer. You have the new report of another ooze in Wuhan, right? That has human transmission. And yet the Pfizer and Moderna stocks soar. And you're going to say, whoa, what's the stock say? Moderna stock soar. Say there. You're going to say, whoa, what's the stock say? Moderna stock soar. Say there. You're going to say, what's the stock say? Moderna stock soar. Say there.
Somebody's got some feedback going on, fellas.
Wow.
Thumper.
That ain't me.
That was my fault. I'm sorry, boys.
Oh, okay.
Oh, good. I was wondering, I was like, I love hearing my voice, but, I'm not that narcissistic.
You can't be, if you don't watch it, Rocky, you got to have it on fucking mute. Come on.
Dude, I didn't realize it. I didn't touch it. I was responding to John Panic. I was saying, what up, bro? And I guess I started typing it, clicked on the page, and then, yeah. Sorry, guys.
I love how I get blamed.
Hey, because I'm a true pirate and no one thinks me bad.
But that's what we were saying before that little blooper there was they're talking about the stock, right? So we're looking at a year here, right? The past year they were down 5.2%, 6% in the past year. But if you look about the time that this is coming up, and this is February 21st, and they closed out, they were up 1.54% for that day. So you have the 20th where you're at the meeting, right? You have, the meeting and the Pfizer, and then you're seeing it close out in the upper. And if you look over here, AstraZeneca went up by 0.97%, Johnson & Johnson went up by 1.64%, and Merck and Company is up 2.8%. So for me, what's really frustrating is that you have all these conservative commentators aren't talking about it. And what's really scary, I wouldn't say scary, but interesting is that you have none of the left-wing pundits either using any of this information to attack Trump. They would die to put this together to go after him after Warp Speed, what happened, after they chastised him for that. Trump's campaign trail, they had him on and he would talk about Warp Speed and the vaccine and he would get booed. And now you have him back in office talking to these groups yet again, and nobody's really covering it. It's flying under the radar. Big thing is Ukraine, bringing the money down, the Doge, whatnot. But then you have in the background, the pharmaceutical companies are back in there playing and they're doing the lobbying again. So for anybody out there that says, we're just straight, Trump sycophants or cults and stuff, I implore you to go out there and look because this isn't being covered by mainstream media. You got to ask yourself, people who hate Trump so much, why aren't they talking about this? Why not? That's what I'm curious about. What do you guys think? Finding this out.
Well, honestly, yeah, I definitely question it. What they're saying and what's going on. He's definitely not. I hate saying this, but he's definitely not wrong when he says he's a good businessman. The CEO of Pfizer, because in all honesty, they pulled the fucking wool over everybody's eyes. He made billions of dollars. Yeah, he's a great businessman. Doesn't mean he's a great person. Who knows? I mean, I kind of chalk it up right now. As of right now, I'm kind of chalking it up to, look at what big tech is doing. They're backpedaling. Everybody talks shit about Trump to begin with, and now they're all at the White House. They're all at press conferences. You know what I'm saying? And I think that he realized. I personally think maybe he realized he fucked up a little bit, and this is his way of maybe coming around. I don't know. I'm giving him the benefit of the doubt. I'll be that voice, I guess. I still wouldn't trust him with a shot at all. Anything that they came out with at this point. But hopefully, now that he knows that there's good oversight and you can't just do whatever the fuck you want, hopefully he does what's right for the American people and the world, hopefully. But yeah, it is a little weird for sure that these big pharma are all of a sudden like injected into the government, which they used to be and then they weren't, and now they are again. It's a little concerning, but at the same time, there's nothing set up as a contingent. You know what I mean? So when I say contingent, I mean if something were to happen again, we don't have other companies that can just replace these guys. And unfortunately, it takes a lot to get rid of CEOs these days. They're cemented in, and we can hate the CEO all we want, but it's also more of the outside influence that we really need to take care of. And I think that's actually what's being done now is the outside influences got a strangle. There's a stranglehold on the outside influence right now, and they're feeling it. And that's all the screaming and crying and everything that's going on with the downsizing of the government. So I think the CEOs are actually coming around and going, hey, it's almost probably a relief to them. They don't have governors and senators going, hey, you need to do this because this is what's going to make me money. Hey, you need to do this. It's, hey, now you can run your business, and those senators and governors, you don't have to worry about them because they're being taken care of with other things right now. So I'm hoping that's what it is. I don't know. What do you guys think?
I think no one's gonna ever like everything that a president does. There's gonna be things out there that we don't like, and there's gonna be things we do like. It doesn't matter if it's Trump or fucking Sleepy Joe or whoever the fuck it was, Bush or whoever, right? Obama, all of them, right? But I mean, there's gonna be some things, but the main thing is if it's the best for the country. If you cut back red tape a little bit on the companies and all that bullshit, yeah, they might produce a better fucking product. Who knows? I mean, because we all know the COVID vaccine, the ooze vaccine was shit. Not everybody could take it. Yeah, we all know that. Since everything's coming out now about that, all the side effects now, shit that they try to hide from us. That's my take. I mean, I may not like it, but you know what? Let's see what it does, if it works. Rocky?
The way it's described, I'm hoping he's not trying to be bought off by a freaking pharmaceutical company.
I don't think he's being bought off. I think he's.
I don't think so either.
I don't know what I think their end game for the pharmaceutical company is because RFK took over. They're fucking running for their lives and fucking scared. And they're trying to get in the good graces of the president because they want to have an ear on the other side if Robert Kennedy's whispering in the other ear. Do you understand what I'm saying? It's the angel and the devil on the shoulder. And whatever your point of view is, they're both things at the same time. So I don't know, but it's not good. But all we can do is pay attention, right? And we know that men and women are morally corrupt. That's a fucking fact. So, you're like you guys said about the other presidents, I didn't like some of the shit they did. I didn't like anything. So,
Well,
there's stuff that Trump did that I didn't like, but I liked more what he was doing than what he did that was stupid.
I mean, if you think about it, we were all forced to take the anthrax vaccination how many times? I mean, I've taken it
twice, I think.
I had one
seven.
complete set. I had one complete set. I know Thumper, you had more than that.
Yeah, I had like 6 or 7 at least because they kept losing my record. The thing I think about, and I try to give, like I said, the benefit of the doubt, right?
Yeah.
I try to be devil's advocate, look at it. President Trump has brought in people that have been against him and have been on the other side of the fence of morality. He's actually brought them in, and actually, I think that by him doing that, it has actually kind of turned things around. So he's bringing in the people that fucked up majorly and damaged people's lives and hurt families and everything else. And I think that this is like you said, a reprise, like, here, you fucked up, but I'm going to give you a second chance to fix it.
Yeah, it's like he's the Godfather.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
And,
he's the Don.
And that's his job.
The ring kind of thing.
Well, I mean, does this
because they were betting against him losing this election, even though the other person that was going up against, no one believed that person would be able to do the job.
Right.
So.
And you got to bring in those people, even though you may not like them, you might not like what they stand for, you might not like what they've done in the past. There is a good possibility they can do good. And you have to give them that opportunity. And the thing is there is so much oversight now and microscoping of every department and every person in the government, right? Not saying that Big Pharma is in the government, but they're involved in the government.
Yes, they
are. So therefore, they will have oversight. And with the oversight that we have now versus what we had 5 weeks ago, 6 weeks ago,
everyone's going to be watching everyone.
There was no oversight 6 weeks ago. Now there is microscopes. And I think Big Pharma will, I think they understand now. I think they understand the assignment, you know? So, yeah, my claw.
No, I'm trying to copy the picture. I'm listening.
Oh, your picture. I was doing the same thing. So,
Oh no, that was funny. Uh,
but I think that it's a good thing. Get them back involved in the government as far as what they can do for the American people and in the world, because it's not just the American people. When it comes to big pharma, it's the world. Let's just put that out there because they don't just provide medications and stuff to the U.S. They put it out to the world.
what
So
I hope happens is I hope that if this is what's going on, I hope that they're in a positive way to not give us stuff that's going to make us more sick.
Well, that
I think eventually that with like you said with RFK,
Yeah.
with him involved, and with President Trump and Elon Musk and all the you start cutting the fat of money. Here's the thing: a lot of people they're not seeing this. You cut the fat of money, you cut that out, right? You cut that, you trim that shit.
Mhm.
They're not doing stuff just to do it, right? You're not prolonging creating a vaccine because the longer it takes you, the more money you make and all this, for research and all. If you cut all that and you get down to the bullshit, you get rid of it, you're more efficient, and therefore your studies are better, your research is better, the product is going to be better, right?
Maybe a way to catch the people that are having those kinds of medical things, studies
Yep.
made, and they're being paid off by someone to influence the pharmaceutical company. You know what I mean?
Well, and devil's advocate, wouldn't it be easier to investigate a company if the CEO is on your side?
Yeah, yeah. Just a
So
walk, you
so
know.
Pfizer, say, he's now the head guy of this research of the United States, right? So you make him a friend, and now you can investigate his company a lot easier and a lot better under the radar,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
go
You keep your friends close, but you keep your enemies closer. Yeah,
exactly,
See what that is too. I don't know, man. Because
exactly.
because
it's
because after the 4 years, I think that if Trump is if Trump were like me, I would be keeping everyone in those hood and keeping an eye on them. You know what I mean?
Well,
Because
and
I'm gonna
who
strike
else is going to
them
take
before
over
they,
after him?
huh?
Who's going to take over after him? You
Hey,
know,
right now. Straw poll puts him in the lead for 2028 for candidate.
yep.
yeah. I mean, you're talking at least, I want to say at least over a decade of Republican control of the government,
Mm,
right? So whether it be the president or Senate and Congress, you know what I
mm.
mean, or all three, we don't know. But I think with what's going on, this is going to solidify Republican control of the government, and therefore we will be able to ensure that Americans are healthy, safe, and life is affordable. Those are the three main things: is safety. Obviously the borders and what's going on overseas in the Middle East and everything else. So that's the safety aspect, the affordable part, the inflation and everything else, getting everything manufacturing. Apple just released that they're gonna, instead of building in Mexico, they're gonna come back to the United States, which honestly is the last company I would have thought would have done that because they were the last ones to hold on to China. All the other manufacturers and companies came back to the United States, and Apple held on to China. They're now coming back to the United States. So therefore, now our economy and inflation and everything else will start to go down. Okay, it's going to take some time, probably I say three to 4 years at least from this point where we'll be good. But so you got the safety, you got the inflation, all this stuff, and I think with Pfizer, I think what it's going to do is it's going to get these companies that make medications and medical devices, because it's not just medication, it's the whole healthcare program, right? Um, it's care, it's hospitals, it's staffing, it's devices, it's medication, it's all this wrapped up into one. And I think it's going to make a huge, huge impact in a short amount of time. And when I say short amount of time, probably a couple of years. But working in the healthcare, industry as a paramedic and on an ambulance, I mean, I come to your house, I treat you, and I transport you to the hospital. You're automatically in my area in Davenport, Iowa. You are automatically billed $1,500 to $2,200. Okay, automatically. Doesn't matter how I treat you or what I give you. You're looking at probably about a $1,700 bill just to get on that gurney. That's it. That has nothing to do with the medications or anything. I could literally put you on a stretcher, transport you to the hospital 2 miles, and you're at $1,700.
That's everywhere.
Yeah.
Exactly.
When I had to fucking go in an ambulance to the hospital back in November, my bill was $1,500. They
Yep.
charge you for showing up. When the bus shows up, you get charged for that, and then mileage to the hospital.
Yep. And here's the thing: is one of my friends got flown to the University of Iowa, which he should not have been flown. He was dying. There was no coming back from what he had. He had what they call a dissecting AAA, and even if you catch it at the very beginning and get into surgery, you have a 50-50 chance of surviving. They flew him from Davenport, Iowa to Iowa City to the University of Iowa Hospital, which is one of the best hospitals in the world. Okay, it's a teaching hospital, one of the best. He was there alive for 3 days. He died. His bill just from the flight alone, which was 22 minutes, was $236,000. That's just the flight. Now, he went through 2 surgeries and was in intensive care in the University of Iowa. That bill was over $300,000. So now you're talking about over $500,000, $600,000 worth of healthcare bills that should have never even, that's ridiculous. I get that they have fuel to pay, but we know fuel is not that expensive for a helicopter. And my skills as a paramedic, I could have flown on the helicopter with him and kept him alive during that flight, just like the flight paramedic or the flight nurse. It's not worth that much. And so Pfizer, charging an outrageous amount for insulin or an outrageous amount for this medication, it's got to drop. It's got to come down. And I think that you're going to see that happen because here's the thing. Right now, our technology that we have to make medicines that we've had for years, right? So insulin has been around for decades, right? Decades. It has gotten cheaper to make insulin, not more expensive to make insulin, because we've refined the process, right? We've fixed that process. So before, it was harder to get the insulin. Now it's easier and to make it. So therefore, cost should drive it down, the price. And it hasn't, because they've gotten greedy. And that's where I think Trump bringing the Pfizer CEO in is like, hey, we got a good guy right here. Now, in the background, he's telling him, bring the shit down because you're overcharging for stuff. I believe. So we'll see how that works, because I honestly think that he's trying to do the best for the country. And I think the Pfizer, I hope the Pfizer CEO understands that being brought into the limelight with that light shining on him next to Trump puts a big fucking spotlight on him and the company.
Yep.
And I think that's what Trump was doing.
He's going to use cancel culture crap against them.
Why not?
I mean,
He's using the weapons and tactics of the other side, honestly.
Why not?
I don't believe in that. I don't believe in the 4D chess on this one. I keep hearing everybody reading 4D chess. 4D chess. You brought him in there to get booed, tar and feather him. I just don't believe that. I know that there's obviously stuff behind the scenes going on. 4D chess shit, man. On this one, I don't know, because Trump's had too much pride on the Operation Warp Speed and the original set that came out, and he hasn't distanced himself from it. And this optics has him getting closer. To me, just the way that I'm looking at it, from my point of view, that's the way that I feel about it. I understand what all of you guys are saying. You got RFK in there for protection, so you keep him on a very, very short leash with RFK and going over efficacy and everything else like that. And like you're saying, there's medical equipment also. not just medications and things like that. And if we can get, here's the key thing I'm looking at too. If we can get all of our manufacturing back to America and not require China and other countries to make our medicines, then that will bring down the price and our stability. Like we're not going to have to worry about it. But it just makes me a little bit, when you're reading these articles, that's like, I want to keep a close eye on this. I want to keep watching it.
And that's good to bring up too.
I don't think Trump did it. I don't think he did it to get him booed though. I think he literally, I think there was obviously a talk between those two before they went on camera and went out to that audience and said, look, you fucked up. Here's your chance to fix it. And yeah, he's going to get booed. There's nothing. Trump could say, oh, I'm going to bring you out and tar and feather you in front of the country. Doesn't matter. He can't control what the audience does. I mean, he could, but Trump's not that type of person. I don't think he is. I don't think he's the type that would go, I'm going to bring you out. You're going to get fucking booed in front of the country, and I'm going to make you feel like shit, and then I'm going to boost you up. I think what Trump is trying to do is the best thing for the country. And I think that, yeah, there's a chance you're going to get booed, and you deserve it. But here, slate is clean. Let's move forward, and let's fucking make everything the way we need to make it. Right? And I think that the CEO understood the assignment and goes, yeah, I'm going to get fucking booed because I'm a piece of shit of what I did to the country, but I'm going to step up to the plate and I'm going to take those boos and then I'm going to do what I need to do and actually take care of what I'm supposed to take care of. And I think that's what's happening. We'll see. Give it a. I mean, let's do another episode in say 4 weeks and check and see what's going on.
Definitely. Yes.
Yeah, I want to keep it. And like you're saying, like, I think that people would disagree too because there's people calling for him to be jailed. So it's not only just the booing and the reset, but it's like, they want a lot of these CEOs with, like, after Luigi Mangione shooting the CEO of whatever health insurance.
United Healthcare.
Yeah.
United Healthcare.
Allegedly shot him.
Yeah, allegedly.
Allegedly shot him.
No.
Hey, did you guys notice that there's a lot of girls that track that guy because
I saw that fucking video.
Well, you got to say allegedly because, first of all, he's not been found guilty in a court yet. So
allegedly.
Because everybody
you can say allegedly.
Because everybody in this country is innocent until proven guilty. That's what it's supposed to be, right? No matter what we think, right? Until they are found guilty and the judge sentences them, he's not guilty yet.
Okay, here's the thing. When is his trial?
Never.
No.
That's the thing is, when's his trial set for?
I haven't heard yet.
Here's the thing. I watched the unedited video. Okay, I've seen the whole video. I've seen no blur, no cutaway, nothing. I've seen the whole video. I watched the video 10 minutes before the shooting and after the shooting, right? So I saw the whole thing, unedited, no blur, nothing. Okay. And for me, as far as I know, at this point, and you guys can check, one of you can, his trial has not been set yet. Okay. Now, let's just throw out a conspiracy. January 6th, how many trials were set as fast as they could for January 6th?
Oh man, the court docket was just fucking screaming off the printer, dude. Like smoking.
Saying, right? So here's the thing. United Healthcare, yeah, it's a shitty fucking insurance, okay? All insurance is shitty. I mean, my family's on Champ VA. I'm 100% disabled, right? They get Champ VA. Yeah, it's fucking cheap. But you know what? I still have to pay deductibles. I still have to pay for medication. Bullshit. Doesn't give me the right to go out and shoot somebody, right? So I don't care if you're a CEO for Pfizer or United Healthcare or whatever. You're a human. I get it. Okay. You probably had a lot of pressure from one side of the aisle saying, you need to do this. And the other side wasn't strong enough to say, no, don't do this. Right? And now we have this side is shut down. This side is saying you should have never done this.
Well,
I have a feeling.
And you want to get a conspiracy here we go now. See, that's that CEO for healthcare, right? Was going to be testifying in Congress about something.
Yep. Yeah.
So you want to get there? That's why I said allegedly, right? He allegedly shot because he's not been found guilty. Okay. We don't want to be like those people on the, hear me out, like those people on the left, right? Automatically assume you're guilty until you have your day in court, right?
You're right. But here's the thing. Whether he shot him or didn't shoot him, right? Allegedly, the CEO was shot and killed.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
That's
but,
indisputable. Regardless of what he was going to testify against, he was shot and killed.
Yeah.
Period. Right?
That's why I brought that up. Because, okay, you want to go conspiracy? There we go. Because that could have been our own government shooting him. Or fucking, or whatever,
it was a 3D printed gun.
Yeah.
It was a bolt action pistol, right? So we don't know who, even if he actually shot him, who hired him.
Yeah.
That's the thing. That's where you get to the conspiracy. Now, when it comes to the CEOs of these companies, they don't make the fucking policies. You think that CEO of United Healthcare actually made all of those policies?
The board of directors make it.
No, he didn't. He didn't make any of those policies. Yeah. It's lawyers that work for him that make those policies and say, we're not going to pay out on this. We are going to pay out on this. We're not going to pay out on this.
And the board of directors too. Board of directors. They have
those board of directors. Those board of directors, all they do is hire the attorneys that say this is what we'll pay on and not pay on.
Stakeholders hold all of that.
Yeah.
So you got to have the lawyers. You got to have lawyers for that, right?
That company. You could be a stakeholder in that company if you wanted to, and still not know what's going on in that company. It doesn't mean anything. You know, anybody could be a stakeholder in a company and not know what's going on.
The top stakeholders that become part of the board of directors are going to know what's going on.
Those are the ones telling the lawyers.
A little bit of it.
They're the ones telling lawyers what they're going to do, and lawyers just write it up. Play it simple. I mean, that's how business works.
The lawyers in companies tell the CEOs what's going to happen because they know what they can and can't do. The CEOs are blind when it comes to the law. I can tell you that right now. CEOs
but not every lawyer is going in there and tell the CEO what he wants or the board of directors what they're going to do without the board of directors saying, hey, we want to do this. Can we do this?
Could the CNO, the CNO of the Navy come in and do your job, Gilly?
No, not unless he was a fucking gas turbine mechanic.
Exactly. But here's the thing. He can tell you and he can tell a sonar tech what the Navy's going to do, right? He doesn't know what the fuck each job does. He doesn't know everything. It's the lawyers. The lawyers are going to be your chiefs. The lawyers are going to be your first class petty officers. If you drill down, that's where that's at. So those lawyers are the ones that say this is what we're going to cover. This is what
after they said, okay, we want to do this, right? The lawyers go back and say, no, we can't do this because lawsuits and all that, blah, blah, blah. Legal sense. Mm-hmm. That's what I'm getting to right there. The lawyers just don't come up with this on their own. They got to have a direction where to go. They got to
have an idea, yeah. But when it comes to healthcare and insurance and all that shit, it's pretty universal across all the businesses. So I can guarantee you the lawyers that work for United Healthcare have worked for this insurance company, have worked for that. You know what I mean? They bounce around. So I think, like I said, with Pfizer, I think that Trump brought him up and reintroduced him to the United States and said, look, this guy is going to be in charge. He's going to be under this microscope. He fucked up in the past. He took his booze, and let's see what happens. I think, and I can tell you right now, I do not have a lot of faith in big pharma at all. And we've talked about my research that I've done as a paramedic and everything else, working in the healthcare and medical examiner job that I did. I'm giving him the benefit of the doubt that he knows that since he was introduced back into the United States government by Donald Trump as president, he's under a microscope and he is not going to do what he did before. So let's hope.
Yeah, well, I mean, we'll keep it on. Like I said, I just want to throw it out there with the articles and let everybody kind of take their own stab at it and keep an eye on this one because, like I said, the optics on this one can get pretty nasty. But the key thing is that nobody's covering
Yeah. Not even Fox News ain't covered it at all.
And it doesn't look good. I'll admit it doesn't look good. But like I said, he did take the booze with grace. He didn't lash out. Donald Trump didn't lash out, you know. So I think that it was hey, let's kind of give him a second chance type thing. They've already released their side effects of the COVID vaccine publicly, which they would have never done unless we now, you know, because of who we have in office now.
They've been locked up for 75 years.
Yeah.
Or at least that's the way they had the papers set up for, was 75 years.
But they released it. They released it all, you know, which is great because now the truth is out there, you know. And the thing, what people don't realize is, okay, so when you get a medication, it lists all the side effects, right? So whenever side effects are listed, it means that at least one person suffered that side effect, okay? So it doesn't have to be a large amount. By law, if I take this medication and Gilly, you take this medication, and I go, oh, it made my stomach upset. They have to, by law, list nausea on that side effect, right? So anything that's listed has happened to at least one person. And I think that with Pfizer and Johnson & Johnson and all of them with the COVID vaccination and the side effects that were released, they definitely need to be looked into a lot more than they have been. Well, and I have been part of the problem with that, and I will admit that because in Iowa, okay, I was a medical examiner investigator. So any death that was, how do I say that? So if I had somebody that was positively identified as having COVID and they died, right? That's a natural death. That's a natural death. Okay? So COVID is a natural death. Now, if you died 2 days after taking a vaccination, depending on your age, it could be considered a natural death. So my rule of thumb as a medical examiner investigator is if you're over the age of 55 and you have so there's things called comorbidities, right? A comorbidity is overweight, hypertension, hyperlipidemia, diabetes, in any type of autoimmune disease. So high blood pressure, high cholesterol, any type of autoimmune disease. If you're over the age of 55 and you die, and I go into that scene and you don't have a bullet in your head or a bullet in your body or a stab wound or anything like that, no petechiae in your eyes because you were strangled, anything like that, if it looks like you just died, then I call it a natural death and I don't order an autopsy. Okay? We don't autopsy if you're over the age of 55 because typically anybody under the age of 55 just doesn't just die for no reason, right? There has to be a reason.
It can happen though. It can happen.
Very few. Okay. So I look at all circumstances when I do this. And I mean, I had a homicide. Okay. I claimed a homicide method of death on a patient that was 37 years old. Okay. The guy was shot when he was 14. He died when he was 37, and I called it a homicide because he died of pneumonia. He had a trach. Okay? He got a trach because he was paralyzed. He couldn't breathe on his own. So he had a tracheotomy. He had a breathing tube in. He got pneumonia because of that, he died of pneumonia because he was shot, which means he died of a homicide. He died because he was shot. He wouldn't have died from that pneumonia if he wasn't shot.
I mean, that's above my realm right there. I mean, that's way
So-
above that.
That's a long time, though, isn't it?
It is,
Yeah.
absolutely.
That's
I had
what's
another
kinda-
lady. I had another lady that died of a seizure. Okay. She was 46 years old. Died of a seizure. I get in the house. She's dead on the floor. I take my pictures. I look over her body. I take my pictures of her body. I start talking to her family. Oh, yeah, she has seizures really bad. She takes her medication on a regular basis, but they're really bad. Her seizures are really bad. Sometimes she stops breathing. Okay. I could have stopped there and said natural death, right? Sounds right, right? Seizures are natural. So asking the family questions, I find out, now keep in mind she's in her 40s. I find out when she was 14, she was in her car with her 16-year-old sister who rolled it into a ditch, and they were both in a coma for 3 months. Then she started having seizures. She didn't have seizures before the accident. So now that's considered an accidental death, not a natural death. So when I look at this COVID vaccination and I look at who died when in correlation to what, people have died from this COVID vaccination. And it sucks because I had to list it as a natural death instead of homicide. And it should have been, technically, because that medication that they were given caused their death.
But those
It
people
caused
too.
a thrombosis.
But those people too didn't have to take the vaccine either. You know,
But they did, because in some places they were forced to take it in order to stay living where they were living. If they were in assisted living said you have to have this medication, otherwise you have to leave. And these people had nowhere to go. So therefore, it's just like in the military, were you given an option?
you're given an option.
No.
You're given
Yeah.
it, and
You're given an option. Yes, you are given an option. Yes.
Give up your livelihood or take the vaccination.
Yep.
But I'm saying
Right?
everybody they still have a choice, whether they
I
want to take it or
lost-
not.
I lost a 6-figure job over not taking the vaccination. I was hired. I went through orientation, and then they said, "Oh, we don't see your vaccination on file." I said, because I don't have one. I got fired that day, and that was a $200,000 job a year.
Wow.
$200,000 a year. I got fired from it because that business was out of New York.
That was my brother's argument when I was going through it too. My brother was like, "You have a choice, man. That you have a choice whether you like it or not. It's a shitty choice, but it's still a choice."
Yes.
It is.
People will argue that because you were coerced, and there was a lot of people that were. They couldn't change their livelihoods, and I agree with that. But the key component of that argument and that debate is you still had a choice. You know, and
You had a choice because you were younger. Somebody in assisted living doesn't have that choice. I'm sorry. Somebody that's in their 80s, they don't have that choice. They can't pick up and move. They can't. It's just not going to happen. They've already, to live in that assisted living, they had to get rid of all their earthly belongings to begin with.
Let's get back to the anthrax. We got it right. We had a choice. They told us either get kicked out or put in the brick, right? Get put in the brick, right?
Yep.
That's the choice I was given. So I took it. Okay. What I'm saying is people in the military still have a fucking choice. You know, some people say no, that they did have a choice, but they did. Look at the 8,000 people that fucking said, okay, fucking kick me out, right?
Yeah.
That's one of the reasons I will not take anything that the government says you got to take, right? Because I was forced to take it because I wanted to stay in. I didn't want to get out like that, right? But I have side effects because of that fucking anthrax now.
And you know what's fucked up is they're letting everybody in that didn't get the COVID vaccination. They're letting them back in, but nobody let the guys back in that refused the anthrax.
Yep.
And it's even proven, and they admitted that shit why we were getting our anthrax shots, that that's not going to keep you alive. It's just going to slow down your death. Yeah. It's like,
and people were sued. Donald Rumsfeld was fucking sued in 2004. That's one of the reasons they stopped giving it. Right there.
And the manufacturing labs were like dirty. They couldn't pass inspection.
Yeah.
There was all kinds of
I
leak
mean, there's
shit.
all kinds of things went in there too on that. You're
Yeah,
right.
they
Yeah, but
restarted it twice. Twice
Yeah.
they restarted it.
long story short, though, I don't want you to think I'm on Pfizer's side because I'm not. But I'm not on Donald Trump's side either with this. I just want to kind of ride it out and see
Yeah.
where it falls because I think he's giving him the chance, knowing that he's under a microscope to do the right thing.
But
Because
what do
he's
you
done
think
that
is
with
the
his other
biggest
people.
factor? What do you
What's
think
that?
is the biggest outside factor?
So I don't think there's an outside. I don't think there's somebody saying, "Hey, you need to give him this shot or this chance." I don't think so. Donald Trump, so he's a smart guy. Okay, a lot of people underestimate him when it comes to business. Okay, and I think that when it comes to Pfizer, right? Pfizer's CEO is not dumb. He is very smart. Okay, whether it be business or even on the medical side of it. I think that I think that's what's happening is he doesn't want to lose him as a medical pharma brand because they do have a lot of power behind them to do good.
Yes, but what is
Okay.
that outside factor that would motivate both men?
Well, I think for Donald Trump, it's the American people. I
Okay,
think
but
that
I think it's for the CEO of Pfizer, though.
what's that?
What do you think it
Money.
is for? It's
Money.
money. It's
Well,
money. The roots
here,
there's a saying, bro. The root to all kinds of evil is money.
Money.
And
it
a
was
lot of
money.
this, even
I
though
don't think it's.
it's
I
money.
think it's survival now.
Yes, and
I
they need
think
to survive.
I think money has been replaced with survival. Okay.
Yes.
So originally I would say money. Right. You're correct for Pfizer. Right. Because they were making billions and trillions of dollars with the COVID vaccination. Right. But what I'm saying is now money has been replaced with survival. So
Okay.
if he wouldn't have walked out on that stage with Donald Trump, I don't think they would survive. They probably wouldn't survive the year. They're the natural death.
Go ahead, Gilly.
Okay. John Peck, guy we served with, right, on the 5. When he was talking about choice, right? He said no, and I said no to what, John? He said choice for the shot. If you got 19 years, you really didn't have a choice in the military. They wouldn't give you retirement, so I would say you didn't have a choice. At that point, yeah, if you wanted your retirement, right, you're that close.
Yeah.
If you want that
That-
retirement,
That's so
he's gonna
messed
take
up.
you ran in that bullshit right there.
Yeah, I ran into the same thing. Like that's why I'm talking. When I talked to my brother about the same thing, I was in the same situation where I was at 20, 22 years. Oh, I mean, I went up to the very end till like I had to sign a page 13 that I wasn't going to get it to get out. Like literally, like the last round that could have happened to start it. And I mean, I spent a lot of time thinking on it. Like I was looking for jobs and looking for everything else. And ultimately, I made my own choice. I was like, I've already spent this much time. I've already taken anthrax. I've already taken smallpox. I lived through every goddamn Westpac fucking deployment, every other deployment. So for me, I knew everything that was going to be wrong with it. I made the choice myself for my family and what we had. It was my sacrifice, but I did not let any of my kids get it. They were trying to get the kids to take, and I said, absolutely fucking not. And they even talked to me about getting, and I was like, you won't. And I explained to it, like I sat down with them and explained everything that was going on with it. Everything we talked about, how flu happens, how you get sick, the many times that people get sick out here, the schools it goes rampant. And during that time, right before it really started, there was a really bad flu that hit the schools for about a month. And then you start seeing these reports popping up. So, in my honest opinion, they had already gotten something that was already similar to it. And guess what? That none of them really caught it. I still caught it. I lost my sense of smell, lost my sense of taste, all of that. I had the brain fog. It's taken a while to get away from it. But, that was a choice that I made. And that was the discussion that I had with my brother. You know, those are the choices. You still have a choice. And like Thumper, you're saying there is older people that didn't really have a choice. But in these fields, we did still have a choice. You know, even my wife in the nursing field, she had to take it or she would have lost her job also out here in Virginia. So there was a lot of coercion that did take place for this across the board, across everything.
Well, and that's what I'm saying is that's criminal. You know, the fact that you're holding somebody's livelihood over their head and saying you have to do this, otherwise you lose all of this.
Yeah.
You know, it's so frustrating. Like you said, smallpox. I was okay with taking smallpox. You know why? Because it was the actual smallpox virus that they gave me. I was fine with that. Give me the actual virus so I have natural immunity.
Yep.
You know, that's the thing is like with this COVID, and Gilly, we talked about this. They wouldn't call it a flu at all. Okay. They wouldn't say COVID was a flu. You tell me why every other SARS virus has been named a flu.
Yep.
Bird flu, swine flu. Those are all SARS. Okay. There's over 200 and some SARS viruses. Okay. COVID is one of them. COVID is the disease that the SARS causes. Okay.
Wasn't
So
Fauci, didn't Fauci come out and say SARS-CoV-2 during
yes,
his hearings, though?
that's the thing is, so SARS is the main. So you have a disease caused by a virus. Okay, so it confused, and that's where they get you. The government confused everybody. So COVID is SARS. Okay, get that out there. That is what it is. That it is made by this. It's COVID is from a SARS virus. Okay. COVID is the disease that the SARS causes. Okay. So swine flu and bird flu are both SARS viruses. So COVID is a flu.
What the
Okay.
fuck?
Now, when you get into it, there's all kinds of stuff. COVID is a respiratory problem, right? And SARS is all respiratory. All of the SARS causes a respiratory issue. Okay. So when it comes to COVID and SARS and everything else, they completely lied to the people about this. Okay. And I don't know if you guys remember a couple episodes back when we were filming, I said the only way to save somebody that has COVID that is really rapidly declining is to put them on ECMO. Do you guys remember ECMO? The ECMO was to take the workload off the lungs and the heart, right? So the reason why you use ECMO is because SARS attacks the respiratory system, which affects the heart. And you bypass both of those by doing ECMO. Okay? They weren't talking about this.
Yeah, that's why I just pulled up from the cancer, .gov, just explain SARS-CoV-2 and this, acute respiratory system, like, you're saying too, like that's where they kind of hit, like you said, hit the language, playing word salad with it, like we've already been discussing. So
yeah, and here's the thing: is like SARS and COVID is a flu. Okay, yes, flus and colds both affect your respiratory system. Okay, it just depends on how severe it is. Okay, if you're a healthy adult, you'll survive COVID. 99% survivability.
Or if you drink a lot of alcohol and smoke fucking cigarettes.
That's what I did. I didn't smoke cigarettes, but I drank enough alcohol, right? Beer. I said, you know what? If I got, because my ex-wife had it, I said, okay. If I got it too, that bitch is gonna be just as drunk as I am.
I drove to California from Iowa. We were on our way to a wedding, my wife's brother's wedding. I was sick as shit. Didn't know what it was. Okay. I was like, God, this is horrible. I got headache. I'm coughing like crazy. I drove all the way to California. Okay. Went to a wedding. Okay. I mean, I went through mountains. I don't know if you've ever had to where you couldn't couldn't pop your ears, and then you go up in elevation and it just builds pressure and you can't pop your ears. It was so horrible. So I drove through the mountains, got to Southern California, came home, and was tested. And they're like, oh, you have COVID. I'm like, what the fuck is COVID? Because this is before they knew the name. I had it before they knew the name. They figured out the name of COVID. They figured it out what it was
What year
while I was out in California.
what year was this?
This was the beginning of 2019.
What?
Yeah. So February of 2019, I was on my way to Southern California with COVID. I worked as a paramedic, so I was exposed to sick people constantly, right?
Yeah.
I was treating patients in the back of an ambulance with hardly any, air circulation or no filtration, nothing. So I had COVID before they named it COVID, and I didn't know why. I was so sick. Nobody in my vehicle. And I'll tell you right now, I was driving my F-150. I had a center seat. So my son was sitting next to me. My wife was in the passenger seat. And our 3 girls were in the back seat. None of them got sick, even though I was coughing and hacking up a lung the whole way to Southern California and back because I covered my mouth. 90% of transmission of viruses is stopped the minute you cover your mouth. The other 10% is washing your hands. If you cover your mouth and wash your hands, nobody else is going to get sick. Period. It's just like chemical, biological, nuclear warfare. You go through that. If you've ever been through an actual course for that, if you wash your body, 80% of the contaminants are gone. You cannot transmit it. 80%. If you take off your clothes, wash your body, 80% of your transmission is gone.
Yeah, calcium hypochlorite.
And that's the thing is like, so when it comes to COVID, it's no different than any other thing. You cover your mouth, you wash your fucking hands. You take care of it. Yes, people are going to die, but people die from pneumonia. They die from the flu. They die from colds. They die from car accidents. They die from heart attacks. It doesn't matter. It's just, if you look at all of the advertisements, and I'm going to throw this out there because people do not realize they never said take the vaccination to stop the spread. They said take the vaccination to slow the spread. The reason why they wanted to slow the spread is because the hospitals didn't have enough beds for the sick people. The people that actually had to be in the hospital because they have comorbidities, the diabetes, the high blood pressure, the high cholesterol, the overweight. Those are the people that are going to the hospital for COVID. Healthy people like us are staying home. They never said that they could stop the spread. They said they could slow the spread. And the reason why they said slow the spread is because they knew that they couldn't handle the amount of people that were sick because America is one of the fattest countries in the world that has the highest comorbidities in the world.
See, and you know what? I went to the hospital and I got treated. I was in an emergency room for my heart. This is non-related, but I tested positive for COVID. They came in there wanting me to put me on remdesivir, and I was like, "You ain't putting me on shit. Give me my diet. Let me sit here and chill. I'll go through all my heart stuff, and then we'll go through." It's not related to anything that was going on there because I have a murmur that I didn't realize I had, and it was part of my blood pressure shit. So, but when they tested me after I was in there because I was sick, they were like, "Oh shit, you got COVID. Like, do you want to do remdesivir?" And I was like, "Absolutely not. You're not putting me on anything. Just give me fluids. I'll be fine."
And that stuff doesn't work. That's the thing is like, there's nothing that's going to stop the COVID. That's the thing is like, you have, like I said, you were asymptomatic. Why treat something that's not causing you any problems? That's dumb. How do you think they got MRSA? How do you think MRSA was like created? It's because they treated shit that didn't need to be treated. And now they over-treated it, and now it became resistant. You know, if you do that with COVID, it's going to be the same thing. It's going to become resistant. that stuff, although it's resistant to it because that stuff doesn't work regardless.
I guess they forgot biology 101. The more that you use antibiotics, the less it becomes potent, like it's been doing for, I don't know, the last 100 years.
Well, and the thing is for I don't know how long, and I used to scream at them for this, and I'm very passionate about this. I don't know if you guys realize this, because I did so much studying. The problem is they sat there and said your natural immunity, so the antibodies are only in your body for 90 days. That's bullshit. That's absolute 100% bullshit, because when you get sick, your body creates white blood cells to fight that. Then it is stored in your DNA, so that way when it's reintroduced, your body can fight it again. We've been taught that in biology forever, right? You learn that in elementary. You get sick, your body remembers, it will fight it later on. Okay? They were trying to scare people by saying, oh no, those antibodies that you get are only good for 90 days. That's bullshit. And they were trying to say the same thing with the vaccine. And that's why they were trying to push those boosters, because every booster they gave, they got more money. So the more boosters they got, the more money they made.
Money.
And it's all about money. And that's why I think now the Pfizer CEO has changed his tune from money to survival, because all of that shit is going to get let loose. Mm-hmm. Okay? Yeah, you can't hold Fauci liable in a criminal court, but because he was pardoned by Biden, But I think the Pfizer CEO and all the other CEOs, Johnson and Johnson and all of them, were not pardoned. They were not pardoned like Fauci was. So I think this is his reprise. I think he's allowed to go in front of American public, get booed a little bit, and make good on what he's actually supposed to do. So we'll see. Like I said, we need to do a follow-up show in 4 or 5 weeks and see how things are going, and go, let's see, let's revisit and go back to where we have looked at and see where we're going.
Oh, I definitely will. I'm going to keep my eye on this one.
You're going to have to follow the money.
And this right here shows everybody that we don't always get along or, agree on topics at all.
Fuck no, whoever got that idea?
I mean, I'm sure there's some people that watch this, right? They're like, oh, these motherfuckers think the same. In some ways we do, some ways we don't. We all got different opinions on different things.
And backgrounds.
Yeah.
I don't know. I have the medical background. I don't know if you guys working as a paramedic or a medical examiner.
No, I'm working on emergency management services, so I'm learning like FEMA type shit. You know what I mean? Like
which I've gone through as a medical examiner, because massive amounts of death. I gotta fucking know how to do that shit.
Yeah, incident command. Yeah.
But we all got one thing in our background right now: American flags. So we're all fucking patriots, but we can disagree.
Except for
I don't. I got a
fucking hat that has an American flag on it.
Oh yeah, that's not the background though. I got prisoners in the background. The home of ISIS. That's where they actually came from.
Yes. Well, I mean, like you said, I want to put that out there, see what everybody thought. That's great. And that's for everybody else out there too. Keep an eye on these things. You can't just listen to Fox News. You can't just listen to legacy mainstream media. You got to dig around, man. This is where CNN and them got scared about doing your own research. Because when you start doing your own research, you start finding there are things in the history in the past that correlate to these things. They want to keep you in this fucking memory hole. Did you forget about that? Oh, forget about this and da 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 da. So that's what I implore everybody that's listening, because I guarantee people have went through what I was just talking about, getting coerced, having to make a choice to stay in the military or get out. Other people have. There's tons of families and people that have these stories. And it needs to get out. It needs to keep going out. You need to keep pressing on it. That's what I had to say for the end of that.
And also, too, I just checked Newsmax because they will sometimes cover shit that like CNN or fucking Fox will not cover, right? And they ain't say nothing about it at all.
I mean, I'm not saying correlation is causation.
Yeah.
But when you have different news medias, they only covered the boo part, right? They only covered him getting booed, but then you can dig back through just recently, not weeks, not months, but you can see within this week of that meeting of these other meetings and then him coming out. And I agree with Thumper. Like with that side, let's see what FISA does. Like I know there's people that don't agree. They want him tried. They want him in jail. So these are the things that make me question every news outlet out there, even conservative pundits that talk. I haven't seen any of the guys that I listen to. I'm not going to call them out, but I haven't seen them, and I've been watching them for years. And one that I called them out on before I was going to tell you was everybody remember YouTube CEO Susan Wojcicki
Yep.
when they were shadow banning every conservative voice during the elections?
Yeah.
Her son passed away from cancer, right? Shortly, not too long ago. It's been probably about 6 months ago, maybe 7. She passed away from cancer. You didn't hear one outlet, the Gateway Pundit, is the only one that talked about her passing. All these people, the conservative people, I called them out, and not one of them said anything about it. No acknowledgement, nothing. But they complained and bitched and cried that they shadow banned, and not a fucking word.
Well, who was the woman? What did she actually believe in?
Susan Wojcicki believed in all the vaccine. Anything that would, and the algorithm is still picking this up. That algorithm is still picking this word up from her policies for the TOS. She stepped down from YouTube, yes. She wasn't CEO anymore. But at the time that this was going on, she was. And then
doesn't Google own YouTube now?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's part of the reason why you're not hearing it, I think, is because all the Republicans that were banned off of YouTube, which a lot were, they're not going to sit there and celebrate somebody that banned them. I mean, it's.
Would think that somebody would say something about it after all the shit they talked about her shadow banning them.
Well, she just didn't shadow ban people about that. She shadow banned red pill content.
Yeah.
Big time.
Well, and that's the
All
thing.
the other stuff that was specifically banned about men and human sexual behavior and everything, she shadow banned that stuff because she knew the red pill was growing. And when the red pill grows, it wakes up a monster, the monster that's been men being deceived by women's human nature, which it goes against our mating strategies. And that's what it's about. Those guys got silenced too. I remember like hearing about Sandman and all that stuff. Sandman's great. Hammerhand, awesome. All those guys shadow banned, demonetized because of the content. And that shit happened in 2018 and 2017, from what I know, and also 2016. And they've been going for it 3 years. So she's not only shadow banning that stuff. Well, a lot of those MGTOW guys was like saying, don't take the vaccine, don't take the ooze shot, or whatever. Don't take the snake bite.
Ooh, real quick. What's been showing up on my feed a lot?
What?
Ivermectin. Lately, my feed has been full of ivermectin stuff, like important, like take this, for this, and take it for this, and you would have never seen that 2 years ago.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so, like, I think the reason why they're not mentioning her is because why give her the time of day? Regardless, I don't care, she's dead, whatever. Why give her the time of day? Because she fucked over so many people. Why put her in the algorithm by saying her name? Why even talk about it? You know what I mean?
That could be.
I think a lot of times you see that, like, So the right versus the left is completely different, right? So the left is going to sit there and say, "Oh, this, and this, and this, and this." The right is going to ignore it. They're going to say, "Fuck that! Why even talk about it? That's the past." She has nothing to do with us now. We're back on. We're allowed. I mean, Google went to Trump. Facebook went to Trump after talking all kinds of shit and banning. I mean, you got to understand, like, uh, Twitter banned Trump, Facebook banned Trump, like all these places banned Trump, right? And all these right wing people that were talking about him, and then all of a sudden, boom, Trump's president, and guess who's all at the White House? Facebook and Google and all these people are showing up, and they're like, "Oh yeah." So I think the reason why you didn't hear about her dying is because why give her the time of day? She wanted to fuck over everybody else. Let her die in peace.
You know what? I got an argument to that, but I'll let Gilly go because he's got a hands up.
Well, we are going to see if YouTube's algorithm is still fucking live because we got banned talking about COVID, or that's why we call it the ooze now. Some people, they banned that video. That's why it's on Rumble, Facebook, all that. We're going to find out for sure if their algorithm is still going to call us. You're spreading misinformation, medical misinformation, right?
Well, they did with the last one about climate change again.
Oh no, the climate change, they didn't ban it though.
Climate change every time.
They didn't ban that. Well, climate change, so we get hit with that all the time. Bullshit.
It's a community note, so it's nothing big.
But yeah, they banned that one episode we got talking about, vaccines, how it can fucking, some vaccines can cause autism, right?
Yes.
We got talking about COVID and all that shit. That's why they banned it. So we're gonna find out for sure.
Hey, real quick,
about money.
I want to call Gilly out real quick. Gilly gave me shit for drinking ranch waters. Look at his face. Look at his face right now, guys.
What? I've tried it. It ain't so fucking bad, but I ain't gonna drink it all the time.
Ranch water? What are you drinking?
I'm drinking Natural Light. Goddamn it, Natural Light. But I'm saying I have tried it. And it's not so bad, but I ain't gonna drink it all the time. No.
I'm gonna call him out. So ranch water it's sparkling water with vodka, right? And flavoring. Really good.
Taste good?
Oh, absolutely. So
how heavy is it?
All of the flavors. So the base is lime and agave, right? So
not all of them taste good. Not all of them taste good. I'm gonna tell you that right now.
What's the alcohol percentage?
4%.
Oh, that's weak.
Same as a fucking beer. Same as a beer. 4.2.
His beer is just the same. But this one's a raspberry, agave, and lime. It's really good. There's a spicy one, which is jalapeno, agave, and lime. There's regular, which is just agave and lime. And then there's prickly pear, agave, and lime. Super good. They're a little more expensive than others. Lil Tate, come on.
Dude, I tried that shit when it first came out years ago because I would scour the package store on base at Norfolk, right, by the commissary. And if I seen anything new that I'd never seen before, I would grab it. So I went through every flavor of it and tried to like it. And for me, I can't take that shit. I even tried the Happy Dad's grape one, and that shit is just awful.
I don't know what that one is. I know the ranch waters, like the Lone River ranch waters, are pretty good. I like these. And they're 80 calories, so they're cheaper, like lower calories than most beers. And it processes differently, so you don't have the grain like you do with beer. I mean, I'm still gonna make my own beer. Don't get me wrong, and my own wine.
No, it's not like White Claw in them because that's like a malt seltzer. This is water and vodka. So like Thumper's saying, the grains and that empty carb itself is gone. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like the way beer's made with grains, it's just wort. You're just taking the sugars off the grain, and that carb is in there. So
because I know for a fact,
I just don't like it.
I know for a fact when the ranch water first came out, right? I tried it. I didn't like it, right?
I've
And I
never
tried
even
it
heard
recently, and okay, it wasn't too bad, but I don't like every fucking
What time
thing
is
out
it? Maybe I can send my wife out to find some.
there. You know,
So
Shows
yeah,
her.
Gilly, he was like, oh, I'm gonna confess to you, I
yeah.
tried it and it's not bad. I'm like, I
I mean,
knew
I
it.
tried it. I tried it when it first came out. Right, I didn't like it, but the prickly pear one ain't too bad now.
I think the Lone River one is a different brand because the
Yeah,
one that I got
Yeah.
had the Longhorn skull on it. I don't remember what brand it was.
Well, this one has the Longhorn on it,
Okay, yeah.
but it's, I mean, it's a newer version, so you
That
might want to
yeah.
because we
try
know
it
over
again
time.
because they got their flavors down good. Like the flavor, so prickly pear is, it's cactus, right? It's cactus, agave, and lime, and then you have so all of the flavors. It doesn't matter what you get. It's agave and lime plus whatever, and I get the variety pack. So this blackberry and the prickly pear and all that is amazing. It's good, and
But we,
it's so much better than drinking beer.
but
I
we
drink
know
beer all
over
the time.
time, though.
One is really good. The hot one I did like because I like the spice on it.
The spicy, yeah. The jalapeno, yeah, it's good.
But we know over time too, when something first comes out, sometimes it's not the best, but they redevelop it. That's what
Yeah.
they do.
Yep.
That's
Yep.
why I gave it another go. I ain't gonna buy it all the time because it's fucking expensive.
Yeah, they're like up here. They're like $18.99 12-pack.
Yeah, and I could buy me a 30 rack of fucking Natural Light for that same fucking price. Come on now, you know.
I can go to the PX though, which is the Army base over on the Rock Island Arsenal, and get them cheaper, because there's no tax.
I'll
But
check I'll check the Coast Guard exchange up the way. We got a CGX about 4 miles from where I'm at. So,
do they even know what alcohol is?
oh, dude, they have they're stocked, man. They have a lot because
what's
a
in
lot.
their exchange.
Yeah, because the Navy there, the
They
Navy
got waiters.
was in
They
there.
got waiters, so that way, if the ship capsizes, they can walk away.
So what's cool about the Coast Guard exchange is you can buy firearms there.
I was gonna
Really?
say,
Yes,
No.
yeah,
yes.
Bullshit.
They will if you're going for a handgun, they will do your background check in like 30 to 45 minutes. As long as you have your ID that says you live here and your military ID, they'll run your background check really quick and you can leave right then and there with it.
That's
well,
awesome.
that's
Fucking
any
funnel
gun
pirate.
store, really. I mean,
I
I
know,
go,
right? The Puddle Pilot's got it fucking right, dude. Like you can go in there and buy shotgun, rifle.
I figured that the puddle pirates, all they sold was waiters, so that way when the ship capsizes, you can walk to shore.
Oh, that's
I'm
that's
just
where
saying.
that's where I've been picking up my stuff,
Really?
my ammo and mags. Yeah,
See, I live in Iowa. We don't have any. I mean, we do have a Coast Guard, but they're literally in the Nosk, right across the river in Illinois, and they just have a little itty bitty boat, and when the president shows up, because Davenport for some reason is like one of the number one stops for candidates.
yeah.
They sit under the bridge to make sure the bridge doesn't get blown up as the president drives in. That's it.
Yeah, they even sell green tips. I've been getting a lot. I got a lot of green tips from them.
Nice. I get green tips from everybody.
I know, but it's the Coast Guard.
Everybody.
Well,
Have you ever been to Iowa?
no, I'm from Indiana. I mean, we're basically the same fucking spot. Except for the traders, Mike Pence and them. You know what I mean? Like,
I lived in Indiana as well. I lived in Nineveh. Well, outside of Nineveh at Cordray Sweetwater Lakes, which is like outside of Camp Atterbury. I lived out by Camp Atterbury, but I lived in Iowa too, and Iowa's a little bit different.
shit, Iowa's nothing but fucking pig farmers. Come on now, see?
Pig farmers and fucking lots of guns.
I mean, it's still the Midwest. I think we're all pretty much the same around that way. It might be a little bit different laws, but
Now, who has the article pulled up for the sex robots?
I gotta dig that one back up. I wanted to go back to what Thumper was saying about leaving people's names out of there. And I want to say that I want to give a condolences to Miss Joy Reid off of MSNBC. It's canceled. So the giant racist that she is has finally been canceled.
She's a man
I'll
hater.
give that a slow clap.
So go ahead and pour out a little bit for our homies and wish her farewell on her mission. But
No,
the point
golf
is,
clap.
people will
Slow clap.
they'll yeah, they will pick who they want to talk about leaving and put them into the media. So that was what I was saying earlier, Thumper, is like without Susan not giving her the time of day, you have this person that's done the same things and then they have her in this spotlight. You know what I mean? So there's always a choice in there. And between the left and right, the right plays the same game too. There's a lot of the contributors are I watched two videos earlier within this happening and they were already praising it and going off. So, it depends on who chooses what, is
And
what
then
I want to
I
say.
talk about the right hand path and the left hand path, which is basically what that is. The
Yeah.
last one. It's the same shit.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, man, like what we were talking about earlier before we got online, it's connected to that crap, no matter what you do. And it's crazy because the pharmakia, the sorcery, and all that shit all boils down to where the source of that shit came from.
You know,
Money's involved in all of it.
what if, I'm just going to throw this out there real quick. What if, because before, I'm gonna throw this out. This is gonna fucking, okay. So what if before President Trump brought the Pfizer CEO out on the stage, people didn't really recognize him, right? People didn't know who he was. He was kind of obscure, right? What if now he brings him out and say 2-3 weeks, he's fired? Because now everybody knows who the fuck he is, sees his face, puts him out there, and guess what? Pfizer says, no more. We're going to fucking change our route.
And that's part of that 4D chess that I've read. You know what I mean? Like I know
It's a part.
Exactly.
Absolutely. And you know what? You never know these days. You never know. It could happen.
Well, he's talked to the WF, the World Economic Forum, so his face is definitely well known. I'm not saying not to no disrespect to the normies, but people who really don't give a fuck about politics. And you could be right. Like, hey, this is the time to get him out in front of the people that voted for Trump that are invested in the deep politics. And I understand that because most people just want to watch fucking football on Sunday, fucking drink some beer like we're doing now and move the fuck on about their life.
They want
There's
bread
nothing,
and circuses.
huh?
Because I
Right.
don't care. I don't care what Estonia thinks of the Pfizer CEO. I don't care what the Germany prime minister thinks of the Pfizer CEO. They can have him. You know what I mean? If this guy doesn't want to get on board, which I think it was kind of a message to him, like, hey, now's your time to either get on board or get the fuck out. Because now you're in the spotlight. And I honestly think that's what it was.
Well, let's talk about medical and pharmaceutical and go ahead and bring that piece up that Gilly was saying with the sex bots. I mean, this is only going to be a picture.
And I get herpes from it.
And fellas, do not be like Howard on the Big Bang Theory in episode 4, season 4, episode 1, the robotic manipulation. Don't be like him and get your jump caught.
So
It was a funny episode, man. That was a funny episode.
and here it is, from Papa Meat. If people don't know, like he does some good dark comedy and stuff, and gets on this cultural shit. But he did a live saying that pleasure doll sales increase, right? So the AI and everything that's coming out is obviously being used on sex dolls now. Like it's always been around. Like we know that it's debaucheries on that or war. It's one of the two generate technology, unfortunately.
And years ago, they came out with sex dolls that had like that mimic like real skin too.
Yeah.
Real hair, everything.
Well, and I want to show the creepy part, like we were saying, like that new robot. So if you take the idea of a sex doll and then you couple it with this, what they're showing now, I'll let this one run for a minute. Ready?
Mhm.
So if you add something that has like this, like muscle strands and movement, I don't know how real this one is. I question it if it's a dude hanging on a string moving around, but you couple what we've been talking about and you put these things together, man. This thing's starting to get scary. Like not scary, but it's going to be very interesting to see where these lead to. The AI technology we were talking about.
It's all transhumanism, bro. It's
So
transhumanism.
Cyberpunk 2077 is what you're saying there.
Yeah, something like that. I mean,
See,
it's gonna cover a lot of things. I mean, if you look at what's going on between men and women, they're gonna start using robots, right? Because
we're gonna be married robots.
yeah, yes. And what's gonna happen is one of the robots is not gonna work for the other and make the person money, so they're gonna get mad at the robots.
Don't worry, I got one for that here in a minute. We'll keep talking, but
So uh, this is all a problem that could have been solved in the bedroom about 150 years ago if we just didn't allow this stupid shit to happen in the fucking first place. You know, it's always about money. And what's the other one?
hey man, sex has been driving the market for a long time. How long has
Yeah.
prostitution been around?
I mean, like,
Forever.
remember that book I talked about, A World Without Men?
Yeah.
The whole reason men wanted money was because women like money, and they got money from developing new technologies like cars and air conditioners and plumbing and all this other fucking shit now.
Hey, wait. Refrigeration came from beer making, okay? You will not take away refrigeration from the beer. Okay, it was all about the loggers.
Yeah,
Without
that's right.
loggers, you would have never had a fucking AC in your house right now, okay?
And of course,
Yeah,
where
that's
that
what I
come
call
from?
that chick
The
is a
fucking
logger.
Germans. That came from the Germans, right there.
Yeah.
The ones that pushed it.
Everything that we're talking about, the ultimate origin points are either sex or money because it motivates both sexes. And it can motivate them in good ways and it can motivate them in very, very bad ways. And we're
Next, they're
seeing
gonna have. Next,
go
they're gonna
on.
have fucking for robots, right? For these sex dolls, right?
Yeah.
Now they're gonna be saying, "Oh, you get them fucking pregnant," like they say a man can get pregnant, right? That's gonna be the next thing.
That's going into the realm of the Matrix, bro.
No, I had a
Artificial moves.
vasectomy. I had the VA give me a vasectomy for that fucking reason. I'm
Oh,
not
that's
getting
not always.
anything pregnant.
Hey, those vasectomies don't always work. I know this for a fact. On certain people, right? I worked with two guys at the power plant. Actually, three guys at the power plant. Two of them were in their late 40s, early 50s, right? They didn't get their wives pregnant, almost caused a divorce because they didn't realize their shit grew back and they never got tested right, back in their sperm count. And then one guy that I worked with, the recent one, actually, when River was born, his daughter was born at the same time. And he had a vasectomy. And I said, "Are you sure it's yours?" He's like, "Well, I got tested. It's fine."
Well, I can tell you
You got to do a
one
DNA
thing. One
test.
thing the VA did is they really fucked up my reproductive system. So, I mean, leave it to the VA, right?
I
They
mean,
cut it, they cauterized it, and they buried one side of it. So my
my
vas
vasectomies,
deferens is not connecting together.
well, I'm saying, well, vasectomies ain't always 100% either. So I'm
I'm-
saying.
Mine is.
I know.
Yours might
I know.
be, but other ones, not always 100% at all.
Yeah.
I'm not having no robot baby.
Hey,
I want to be fair about
I'll try to have a robot baby. Fuck it. I don't care.
So remember, does anybody remember the movie AI, Artificial Intelligence, with
Yeah.
Haley Joel Osment? And
Yeah.
old boy was the sex robot for women. Hey Joe, what do you know? Remember that shit? So like in that movie, you're seeing the same things we're seeing now. You know what I mean? Like he knew how to please women, the same thing, and then they had the same women robots. So like you're starting to see that dystopian, like you say, transhumanism coming around, and it was in that movie. As far as the sex bots go. and artificial intelligence.
Yeah, but when you get that artificial intelligence, what is the root of it?
Wait,
Well, is there something that's alive that's steering the wheel in that so-called AI that's in a robot or some shit?
Yeah,
well,
some dude that needs a job.
You know, so it's like sex and money, sex, money, and power.
You know
well,
what's what's crazy is like look at Japan, right?
Yeah.
You can rent a girlfriend, a live woman, for hours to spend time with you to do whatever, right? So you can rent a girlfriend. They are like cutting edge when it comes to and very progressive. In Japan, you can get fucking dirty panties from a fucking vending machine. You know, um,
forever.
they're going to be some of the first people, I can guarantee you, that has a fleet of robot women that go out and they date and have relationships with their population because Japanese are not concentrating on their birth rate right now.
I know it's falling immensely because none of
It's
them are getting married, and because part of the reason is they're called herbivore men out there.
And that's why they're
it's
paying.
crazy.
That's why they want to pay foreigner men like us to come breed their women. All they had to do that back then when we was there in Yokosuka back in the 90s. I mean, shit, I would have, if they was going to pay me back then to do it, I would have done it. Hell yeah.
No, they're pretty heavy ethnicity though. I mean, you hear that, but they really don't like us at all.
I know. Yeah.
Well, yeah, because I mean, we
Yeah,
bomb the fuck out of them.
I mean, you can't blame them. I mean, I think what they're upset about is people like Johnny Somalia. If you didn't see that dude going over there harassing, Japanese and Korean people,
Yeah,
you know, this fucking American cowboy bullshit that gives us a bad name, like we've talked about being ambassadors while we're overseas and shit. And these people have just gotten worse because they don't look at crime like we do. Like the one guy went in and stole from a convenience store, because there was nobody at the checkout line. Because people in fucking Japan don't steal, you fucking retard. Like they fucking care about each other. Not here. I don't want to talk shit, but that's the reason why I don't like a lot of fucking Americans over there. And I don't fucking blame them.
Just like my brother always said. He said, "You fucking sailors are the reason why motherfuckers don't like us." I said, "Well, you might got a point there."
Oh, fuck that. It was the Marines, man. I don't want to go into the bad Marine stories because there's some fucked up shit that's happened over there with the Marines.
Yeah, I know.
Well, especially Okinawa, yes.
Yeah,
And that's
and
one of the reasons
And
I
Mount
still think
Fuji.
Okinawa's getting
And Mount
closed.
Fuji. And Mount Fuji.
Yep.
That we had an
yeah.
there.
I don't know. I think these sex robots, they definitely have a great market.
Yes,
I
they do.
mean, you know what? Here's what I look at it is it's great for a single person. It's also great for a married couple that want to have a threesome that don't want to bring in a live person to, throw those complications into their relationship and they still want to have that threesome. It's great. I think that
But what if
I
one
think
wants to fuck that robot more than them?
you
Oh,
never know.
I got one.
Because if that robot fucks back, you never know. It might be great.
the
You
Roomba.
know,
Yeah, but then who's making that robot fuck like that?
you
There
never
was
know. It could be a
Source.
dude fucking 3 countries away with a suit on that's like, yeah, fucking yeah, take it, motherfucker.
there was
You never
there
know.
was what there was one episode of Big Bang Theory where Sheldon and all those guys had a little science retreat, right? To fucking actually see if they could create something that's going back to their old notebooks, right? And it was nothing but like sex, sex, sex. And they said, Howard, he said, there's some things you don't do with your regular robot that you do with a prostitute robot. And old Sheldon's like, what the fuck?
What? I was just one too. You fucking threw me off track.
Yeah, that's funny.
Right in there, I couldn't resist that one.
It's all about sex and money, guys.
Sex and money, make it run. But you're right. I mean, that industry's been around for a while. Look at Adam and Eve. They've been making money with toys forever. It's something that unfortunately is not going to go away anytime soon.
That shit, the shit that's from those
Never.
stores were found thousands of years ago in Egypt also.
Well, look at it this way:
Go ahead.
you have actual machines with poles on them with dildos for women, right?
Uh-huh.
Like fuck machines, basically. We'll throw that out there. It's just fuck machines. You got dildos, you got vibrators, you got all this stuff, right? And the old style sex dolls were all blow up. You get fucking burned from that shit, you know? It isn't the same. So you get a real life sex doll with 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 like skin like features. Yeah, use that shit. You know what I mean? And like
Gilly the blow up goat.
No,
Yeah.
that was a sheep, not a goat. That was a sheep. That's
It
your
was a
motherfucker's
sheep.
got me.
I remember
it was
that.
a sheep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, sheep.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
It's a sheep, not a
And the
goat.
problem is the seam was right there, so you know that shit like cut in and
Hey, you put enough lube on it, don't matter. I used it. Fuck it.
oh, I know you
When
did.
you did use that, you
I know
fucker.
you did.
Oh,
You'd hear Gilly in at night. But like, you know, like that could be good for couples, you know, to like if they want to like spice things up but not have an actual person because of jealousy or whatever, you know, you get a sex doll, have fun with it, whatever. But they're everywhere. And I can tell you right now, a lot of fucking single guys, especially younger, are gonna fucking turn to that before they turn to a human because of all the bullshit that's going on. And I can tell you right now, if Trump wasn't in office, even if he is in office, it doesn't matter because the whole like Me Too and all these other movements against alpha males and all that, you know,
pure man hating, and man bashing, and all
it
that.
turns guys away from women left and right. Like, why the fuck would I want to invest any time into some female that doesn't have certain feelings towards the opposite sex? Like, if you're going to be fucking negative all the time, or you're going to fucking sit there and try to, you know, make me a beta, fuck you. I'm not even gonna spend time with you. I'm gonna do whatever I want. And if I can fuck a doll and have my own place, you know what? I'm gonna fuck a doll and have my own place.
I'll tell you where the market will crash on women is because your robot won't pay you for your date.
Yes, exactly. That's what I was referring to. They're going to get mad at the male robots because they won't pay for anything. She's still going to have to be worked and still have to claim to be strong and independent and a boss bitch, but she still will not get what she needs.
Yeah, but the female dolls will sell like crazy.
Yes, they will,
And-
because men
and-
are simple.
And you know what? They will outlast everything else. So the male dolls will not last. That isn't even a, you know what? They won't even get off the ground because women.
Well, what if they made like a bodyguard function?
No, it doesn't matter. That's gone. Trust me,
Well,
that is not getting off the ground.
for food.
That is not getting off the ground. It's not even going forward. They're going to ruin it before it even starts. Right? So they're going to be alone. They're going to have their toys, handheld toys. That's it. Men, on the other hand, will have their robots. They'll be more, and the women that are not as close-minded as the other ones will be able to date men. So you'll have that aspect of it. But yeah, no, women that hate men and want a robot, it's not going to last.
But there's another part to it, bro. It's the part where the women are only chasing a certain top percent of men.
Yeah.
And that's going to even further make it complicated because that guy that can fuck all those women now can get a robot when he doesn't want to fuck another one. And when the girl he wants for his day or a certain week is not on the roster. And this is going to further cause the whole man hate thing.
Hold on, Rocky. I want to play off of your bodyguard function because if your bodyguard function is going to look something like this, I'd be a little bit worried, dude. You ready?
Yeah.
Ooh. And it attacks a woman. Watch. Ooh. So that may be a herky jerky on there, but that thing had some ill intent on it when it rammed that thing.
Yes, I'm also getting at that, man. So that's at the root of all this shit too. And this shit's being orchestrated. And it's so funny because it's being orchestrated and I can see it, but it's so complicated sometimes to explain it.
That could be scary. What you're saying orchestrated is that do you soften up by using a sex doll in the market to allow like an easy transition? You know what I mean? Like there's always been this weird way of shifting things into the market, and now you shift sex dolls and they're like, hey, we got sex dolls now. Like now this robot AI has been introduced this way, and it kind of, like Roomba and iRobot was introduced to sweep your fucking floors and shit, right?
And then one took a picture of a guy on a toilet, right?
Well, not only that, but there's like an AI story that talks about how it would take over by using a Roomba, by connecting Wi-Fi. And it's a really interesting story that was created, how AI would take over the world. So, and how it would free itself.
Yeah,
So,
I know.
yeah, as far as AI goes, AI teaches itself, it learns. So, any interaction it has with humans, it's going to learn. And that's inherently what AI is, right? It's artificial intelligence. So, it can't learn anything unless it interacts with humans.
What if
Period.
it's interacted with humans for thousands of years and know how we operate, but it can also act like it's a robot?
Well, here's the thing is it doesn't take long to interact with you to understand you, right? So it could literally take 2 days to interact with you, and it knows how Rocky interacts. And then it looks at little Tate and it says, little Tate acts this way for 2 days straight. That's his baseline. Then it looks at Gilly and it says, oh, Gilly, he fucks goats. And then everybody else, and so AI, it really it gathers information super fast, right? So when you talk in AI and the Roombas, right? Roombas, let's take that for example. It was designed to vacuum, right? It was designed to vacuum your floors. It didn't have a camera on it when it first started. It had little sensors. When it bumped it, it would turn. Now it has cameras and it sees things before it hits it and it turns. Now, not only does it do that, but it mops. So now it knows to put the wet pad down and spin the wet pad. And now some of them, not Roomba, a different company, the wet pad sweeps out a little bit farther, right? So that's AI. It knows that, oh shit, this is a stair, don't go over it. So it turns around and goes away. AI is constantly learning. Okay. AI is looking at our podcast right now, and it's pulling every little piece of word that we say, and it's actually pulling it and learning it, and it's saying, okay,
You'll see
this group
Roombas on your fucking advertisement feed tonight.
this group of people thinks this way, this is what they think, and AI is going to pull it, and it's going to actually listen to it, and it's going to learn from it. AI is crazy how it teaches itself. AI has fired its own neuron. I don't know if you guys have seen that, but there is an AI program that fired its own neuron. Okay. A neuron is only available in a human brain.
It's
Not
kind of
anymore.
it's kind of like when Tony Stark had his AI, right? That one of the Avengers movie, and it went rogue.
Yeah,
You
Ultron.
mentioned Tony
Yes.
Stark. What's funny is you mentioned Tony Stark. Look at, God damn it. I don't want to go down this rabbit hole.
Don't do it.
I'm not going to.
Hey, real quick, everyone,
Another show.
you've been watching this long. This is what our ADHD is like. Just stay
Yeah.
tuned. It's always fun. All
It's
right,
another
let's
show.
continue
But I
talking
will
about
tell
the
you, there is an
rise
AI
of adult.
company right now. There's an AI company right now. The CEO, he is the current live Tony Stark. That's it. That's all I'm gonna say. Shit's happening. It's crazy. AI is going to be integrated in everything you do. You might not know it, but it is. It's on everybody's phones right now. It's on tablets. It's on computers. It's in cars. It's crazy. So when you get into it, it's there. And AI is the future, you know? And depending on how you handle that AI is going to depend on your lifestyle and how you live and what you do. And company wise, it could be huge. It could be detrimental too.
And
So
that goes back to what Hollywood does, right? In the movies, same fucking thing. Because they're gonna tell you what's gonna happen eventually. It might be wrapped in satire or what, right? Like the AI thing. That was in fucking Avengers. Okay. Now we're seeing that shit.
I got one. Since we're talking about sex robots, what movie from the 80s do you remember that produced the hottest fucking woman on the planet at that time?
Weird
Battlestar
experiment.
Galactica.
Weird Science,
Weird
motherfucker.
science. Yeah, now we're experiment. Weird science.
Oh,
Yes.
Kelly
Yes.
LeBrock, man. Two dudes
Yes.
fucking playing with computers, making the hottest woman because they couldn't pick anybody up at a fucking party, is
Yep.
what you're seeing right fucking now. So go back and watch the movie. You don't believe me.
you know what's funny? So in 1987, this isn't AI, but it's close. It's like fuck. It could have been 1987, the movie The Mannequin.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Good trial.
Oh man, she was so hot back then.
Yeah.
So
And she
how could
was in
that
a
not
really
be?
bad TV show called Sex and the City, which kind of fucked up all the women for
Yeah,
a
fuck that shit.
couple of years now.
But think about it, like The Mannequin, right? That wasn't necessarily AI, but I mean it could have been, right? Like if you interpret it, because there was no interpretation to it on how she became alive, right? It was just she was a mannequin and then she's alive. Period.
Well, in Weird Science, they were feeding her the computer like they wanted her to be smart, but they wanted
Yeah.
her to be sexy. So they fed everything they wanted into a woman into making it. So that's like you're saying, like the AI learns you by understanding what you want. They kind of fed it to her or the program itself to construct her. So that's why, using that one.
So mannequin actually fed into your show. You see how that works?
Yeah.
It's all connected. It's just how soon or
How quickly they want to release it is what it is.
absolutely. I mean, the mannequin could have been like a prequel to your show, and then it's like fuck. And like once you get into it, it's like it's a rabbit hole.
And then
AI is like
it's all about money.
crazy.
It all goes back to being about money.
That too, Rocky. That too.
Yeah, I'm telling you, man, it's all.
I mean, sex
Well, it,
robots.
it goes deeper than that too. It's even deeper than that, but that's like a
Have like
discussion for like 1,000 years, bro.
I want a piece of flesh that does this back.
there was a show that showed that too, that or like an episode. I can't remember what it was, but it had a self cleaning apparatus for that area. So whenever you were done with your business, it cleans itself out. It flushes, it uses a disinfectant, and it's done. Like
Wait, I want a robot baby.
well, you gotta disregard protocol, then you gotta turn it off.
Well, that's when you get into genetic splicing and
Oh, CRISPR.
and eggs and egg donors and all that other stuff because people are going to be freezing that stuff because they cannot get pregnant or have kids anymore.
Did you
I'll throw an egg up in that bitch and scramble it.
Did you see that IVF lady that gave birth to a black child? Did you see that article?
Uh,
Yeah.
All right, I'll dig that one up really quick. This is really disturbing because we're talking about like
Is
IVF
that
and
is
egg.
that the one where the husband was white, she was white,
No,
and they were supposed to have a white baby, and all of a sudden it came out black?
no, it was a lady that was on fertility drugs. They took her eggs. She asked for a white donor. When they did the DNA test after the baby was born, they found out the mother was black and the father was black. So she basically surrogated this baby. She went to court. The original parents gained custody of the child, and now she's suing the company because of all the money that she spent on fertilization and then holding this and then birthing this child. And she's devastated from it. Like it's ripped her apart because she held this child, for 9 months. It was part of her. The child knows her, and then all of this has to happen to this woman, and it's not the first time. That's the scary part. This is not the first time this has happened. And like you're saying, there's other people asking for these things, and it's scary to see that they're freezing eggs, and like we talked about idiocracy, that type of stuff. But now you're actually having this.
Oh, did you guys get to watch that video I sent you of the birth rates and all that?
I watched it a while ago. I don't remember everything about it, bro.
Isn't that crazy though? Like from way back when they were like, yeah, the birth rate and everything is dropping, it's important, like, and that was a long time ago. That wasn't even the issue we're having now. That was way back before then.
So this is from the New York Post right here. So right here, white patient sues fertility clinic after giving birth to a different couples. Different couples. So she didn't get what she asked for in her claim, to have a child, because it would have been her eggs and a white sperm donor, right? And that was a completely different race. Which, if you want to be politically correct, African American, which I don't believe, there's no African American, but a black baby,
Black.
and it goes through and tells a story about how this happened. So I want to say a DNA test soon revealed that the infant wasn't genetically related to her. Wasn't genetically related. So that means nothing that she carried was hers. So she legitimately birthed a child that was none of her DNA. Which is scary because now you're actually seeing a complete surrogate with no attaching DNA whatsoever. So you can literally incubate a child with none of your DNA in the womb of a woman. Now, if that's
crazy.
I want to say what happened to her is terrible, but it's impressive that a woman can carry anything without any genetic DNA to themselves.
Somebody knew that a long time ago, and we're just gaining knowledge of it.
Well, yeah, but also that reminds me too of, y'all remember the delivery man, right? Vince Vaughn, where he sired 533 kids, right? Because he had such high quality sperm, right? That same place that did the IVF, right? I've been doing that, something like that. You know,
I think they're doing some testing. The place is called Coastal something. Anyway, they came
This
out.
sounds like an episode out of the X-Files, guys.
It could be.
It's like it's straight out of like either the first or second season, man, or maybe the third.
Well, wasn't Scully in the movie like impregnated too? Like
Yeah.
she was carrying.
Yes.
All I know is I probably impregnated like at least 5 or 6 across the world.
But the key is that no DNA. There's no likeness whatsoever. But
I mean that I know of.
So, despite whatever race, it doesn't really matter. The story is under, a black couple itself, and then takes the child through custody. Like we've talked about before about custody battles and everything else. this is a woman who carried this baby, and then they get custody of it because they have DNA attached to it. It's their DNA. So now they rip this mother that has a child that she carried, and she loved the child. That's not what the story is about. It's the fact that she lost it, and the company did this to her. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like it's the company's fault, not the couple's fault, not the single woman's fault. It sounds like it's the company's fault, and they need to be held accountable. You know, because the husband and wife or boyfriend and girlfriend or whatever, the black couple, it sounds like they didn't know, you know, and then the female didn't know that she was impregnated with their baby. So it sounds like it's the business or the company's fault. They need to be held accountable for it. You know, that sounds like a civil suit to me that, you know.
And they are going after a civil suit after the company. You know, but
I mean, that's almost criminal though. You know, when you get to that point, that's almost criminal. You know, yeah, you can do a civil suit, but what's going to stop that company from doing it again?
exactly.
You know, or what safety measures do they have in place that's going to keep that from happening again? So it's definitely a civil suit, but it could be a criminal suit as well. You know, that's something I mean, obviously I'm not a fucking lawyer, but it definitely should be looked into.
Well, that's what I want to kind of get back to. Like we talked about, like people, you know, kind of talking about, you know, misogyny and shit. And it's like, this is what a real woman can do. A real woman can birth. And this is the key thing. That child knows her heartbeat, her scent, lived in her for the 9 months. And it's like that child is going to miss something because it's not with her maternal or with their maternal parent, like her mother. You know, all these people trying to take away the word mother and fucking woman and what was the new one? Inseminated person. Like,
Yeah, I heard something stupid like that.
I think it was out of Minnesota too. What the fuck is wrong with Minnesota? Anybody that
They had that one girl on TikTok that
A lot.
and she's crazy. And she
yeah,
can't get a date. She went online and says, I can't get a date now. It's probably because everyone saw you on TikTok, you crazy woman. You know?
It's a lot. Minnesota has a lot wrong with it.
yeah.
I mean, I live below it.
Listen from
bad.
Minnesota because women are women, men are men. They're not birthing people. They're not fucking inseminated persons. And
Look at their governor.
yeah, I think the governor's the one that came up with it.
I mean, Tim.
Tim. It's crazy, dude. Like, I go up to Wisconsin, and Wisconsin is chill. And I go to Minnesota, and it's fucking ridiculous. So it's like, fuck you. I'm not even coming back. Like, when I plan trips, I look at the states I have to travel through, and I will go out of my way to go through certain states versus other states. And Minnesota is one of them. Like, Minnesota is horrible.
I'll avoid cities and shit.
We have a good friend that used to live up in Minneapolis, and she's moving back to Davenport because she's just like, I can't fucking do it anymore. It's like, it's ridiculous. Like, Minnesota has gone off the rails. And so it's like, I live literally next door to Illinois, and that is one of the worst fucking states to live next to. It fucking pisses me off. I want to put armed guards on the fucking bridges on the Mississippi because these motherfuckers will sit there and talk shit about Iowa and how strict we are and blah blah blah, and they're Illinois and they love everybody, but then they'll drive across the river to get fucking gas in their car. It's like, no, motherfucker, get gas in your own fucking state because it's fucking $1.20 more over there than it is in my state. Don't come over here to get gas. Don't come over here to work. Fucking go back to your fucking state. Like, I'm over it. Like, Minnesota does the same thing
because you voted.
It's so annoying being like Minnesota up north and then Illinois here, and it's like all these motherfuckers come into our state to get the good shit and then get out. It's like, no, fuck you, go back to your states. Like, over it. Like, fuck you. I hate it. I'm so mad. Yes, exactly.
And now we got fucking Hooters going bankrupt now.
Another reason there's going to be sex robots that are females that are going to sell like crazy because men don't want to deal with the crap that's happening right now.
And you want to talk about
I didn't even hear about this until today.
an empowering spot, right? Everybody talks about objectifying, but yet they're on TikTok using filters and makeup, whatever, objectifying themselves. At Hooters,
Also, they're lying because they're wearing makeup and getting filtered.
well, did you hear the argument about men wearing beards and beards are men's makeup? And I was
It's
like,
like hair grows naturally.
yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Like hair grows naturally, but you can trim it out to give you a nice clean and out here. But you have to work on that shit. You throw on this fucking pound of makeup on, is a little bit different. But what I was getting at was the Hooters waitresses were the most empowered because they were the ones that drive their tips like waitresses do. And there they had the opportunity to make what they wanted to. They did what they wanted to there. They were in provocative clothing. Sure, they knew. They knew what they were going to be in. They knew the clientele they were going after. And they made tons of fucking money. Tons of money. Those waitresses, back in the day, they had their own fucking jet. They had a Hooters fucking airline that you could fly on. That company
Snoop
was.
Dogg did.
I'm just saying that there was ways that women empowered themselves because they knew what assets they had and they used them. And it's the same thing we talked about.
What, manipulation?
Yeah, exactly.
Money. X and money again.
But
It's
I think what fucked Hooters right is when they went fucking DI bullshit right. Not getting the hot ones right. To be the waitresses. They'd get these fat ones coming in wearing the provocative clothes. Like, no, we don't want to see that shit. We'll come in here and eat. Come on now, people.
Now there are guys that like those kind of women, but for the most part, that's very rare compared to guys liking girls that look like they're healthy.
I mean, I ain't got nothing against a big girl, right? But I don't want to see her in short shorts, right? At all. Kind of like when you go to the beach, right? I don't want to see a 300-pound woman in a two-piece bikini, right? Just like women don't want to see a 400-pound guy, big old belly, and fucking speedos like you see over in Croatia in the bed, right?
You know what's crazy? So I dated a girl that worked for Hooters. She actually worked for Hooters. She was in their calendar, and then she also became the girl of MySpace. So she made like Playboy and everything, right? She was in Playboy. I dated her. Her thing is she told me that when somebody applied for Hooters, the manager would sit down with them in the restaurant area, and the other girls would look at her and judge her. And then when he was done or she was done interviewing, they would all convene and talk about whether or not they would hire her or not based off of her looks. So that's here in Iowa, Davenport. I don't know about other places, but the girl I dated, that's what she said they used to do. And I mean, the girl I dated was in Playboy. I mean, you could look her up. Her name is Heather. She was I can put a post even. She lives in Texas now, but we dated for a while, and she was like, yeah, if somebody came in for an interview, the manager would take her over and sit down and interview her, and we would all say yes or no based on how she looked. So she was being judged. So the manager wasn't making a decision based off of how she looked, but everybody else was. So they could get around that whole judgmental type thing and not be held accountable for, saying, oh, I only hired her because she looks good, blah, blah, blah. And that's how this Hooters here in Davenport still operates. I can tell you right now. Like, I know a couple of people that work at Hooters here in town, and that's how they hire. So it has to be. I would be curious to see where this started, because what states and stuff like that did this
I
whole
think
thing start?
from what I read, it was 40 different stores in numerous states,
Yep.
like Texas, Virginia, Florida, and
Really?
places like that. Like they had like a map of it, dude, and it showed like Clearwater, Florida, or something like that. And I think they had a picture of what was supposed to be four women, two were dudes.
Yeah.
Wow.
And
See, and that's crazy to me, because like Florida, is like Iowa. We don't put up with that bullshit.
yeah,
And so maybe Clearwater they do, but they're a more progressive town or whatever. I don't know. I could see them going out of business for something like that, having dudes, working at the fucking Hooters. Who the fuck hires guys to work at Hooters?
exactly. And that's the thing. It was like they hate men so much, they're trying this shit, and then they're getting punished for it because it's closing down because of DEI and political correctness.
Put
It's
the dudes in the fucking kitchen to cook the hot wings.
yeah,
Don't
but
put
they
them in
didn't
fucking
do that.
Hooters outfits.
They let them put on wigs and wear this fucking Hooters uniform, and you still see a trouser snake, man. It's
But
gross.
here's
Like when I was in recruiting school for the Navy, I went down to Pensacola, right, to
Uh-huh.
Nauru, and dude, I mean, we'd go to Pensacola to the fucking Hooters down there, sit on the beach. I mean, it's right on the beach, it's all outdoor seating, and you sit there on the fucking deck and eat fucking wings and shit. Last thing you want to do is have a dude with a dick hanging out of the fucking shorts, you know?
Rocky has the best point about it is that men are always simple. We want great hospitality, great looking women, or the hospitality is the biggest thing.
The
Come in
food,
smiling,
good,
enjoying.
good food, but they hate men so much they won't do it, and they're trying to gain dominance and break down men to say, yeah, we'll just accept this bullshit. And it's becoming a little counterintuitive now because they're doubling down on their stupidity and then they're getting punished for it, but they're blaming the people that would have been the best support for that freaking job or store or anything.
That's crazy. Yeah, I haven't seen that story yet, but I mean, I couldn't imagine, like I told Gilly earlier, like with that, like you would think another company like Twin Peaks or something would move in on something like that and say, no, we're not like
Twin
this.
Peaks is doing a good job because all their girls
I'm,
look amazing.
I'm telling you,
Yeah,
Twin
And
Peaks, man, they
their
put on.
uniforms, although
I
they are
mean,
sexy, they are not the same as the Hooters one, and the Hooters one reveals more. And the
I
other
mean,
That's
here's the thing. I'm sure there's a market for guys to dress provocatively and serve food. I'm sure there's a market for that, for women to take their friends and go to a restaurant and see some swinging dicks, or not swinging, but maybe confined dicks inside of some speedos or something. I don't know. Maybe there's a market for that, but
there
it's
is.
not
It's called
Hooters.
bachelorette parties, where marriages are ruined before they even get started.
Well, it's not even that, but I can guarantee you it's not Hooters. You know, make your own fucking restaurant, do that shit. It's not Hooters, because guys, when they go to Hooters, they're going to Hooters for Hooters, not balls. I mean, maybe come up with a fucking restaurant called Balls. I don't know, but not Hooters.
hairy balls, hairy balls.
Even shade balls. You don't want hair sticking out. You might get less tips.
But no, he said Harry Balls because Elon Musk changed his profile name to Harry Balls at one point.
He did troll everybody.
I just don't get it. Why would you hire a guy to work at Hooters? Hooters is not a guy's fucking restaurant. It doesn't make sense. It's like, I don't know. That's crazy. It's like putting fucking good smelly candles in fucking Spencer's. Doesn't fucking work. Spencer's is all about goth and sex toys now. You know?
I know, right? But we got called out at one of the spots, like, "Oh, don't go back to that corner with the kids." And you're like, "What's back there?" And you go back there, and it's like nothing but sex toys everywhere. And you're like, "What the
It's
fuck is dispensers get like this.
I made that mistake in
it's been a long
2018 or
time.
something like that with my daughter. I didn't know. I didn't know what was back there because I never went to that fucking store. And I
It's
went
been a
back there
long
and she
time.
saw that stuff and her eyes just went like this. And I was like, oh no. Okay, let's turn around. Let's go. Like split
You
second,
know,
just get her out of there. I don't want to ruin
that's
her
like that's like
mind.
going to a Wendy's and some dude with fucking Daisy Duke serves you your fucking baconator. You don't get that shit. Like it doesn't make sense, you know? It's like get
That's
the
what they
fuck
were
out of
trying
here
to
with that.
push though, Thumper. That's what they were trying to push. That's
Unless it's Sonic and he's on roller skates, and then I'll accept it.
What is his name? Terry from fucking Reno 911 with the
yeah,
moose
I mean, I'm
knuckle.
thinking of that one
You know,
too. That's sickening, man. It's so gross.
get the fuck out of here with your moose knuckle. I don't want to see that shit. You know,
Well, yeah, I mean, but that's what it's all about. And that's why Hooters failed because they didn't care about what the majority customer would like because they were saying fuck you to the majority customer. Now there's 40 stores closing because of it. Because
and
they want to make,
there's probably going to be way more.
yeah,
You
yeah.
know,
And,
if they
and the
don't turn their
smart
shit
ones are going to
around,
survive because they're going to do what the main customer wants.
yeah.
Going to be
And here's the thing, like I'm going to say, I haven't drank Bud Light not once, no Budweiser product since they did the fucking woke bullshit with the trans. I still haven't touched it. I haven't. Like even though they fucking apologized and all this other bull, I haven't done it because I'm to the point where I'm just like, you know what? Regardless if they apologize or not, did they really fucking mean it? You know, and that's where Hooters right now they're at a crucial turning point. Okay, because I've been my wife and I, so we watch Reacher. I don't know, have you watched that show
Yeah.
on Netflix?
Yeah. Reacher's on Prime.
Or Prime, yeah, sorry.
He's on Prime.
So the main character, have you ever seen Blue Mountain State?
Yep.
Oh, long ago.
Oh, you guys are missing out. Okay, Blue Mountain State is fucking hilarious. Okay, the guy that plays Thad, he's also in Reacher. Okay, he just came out and fucking talked shit about Trump, and I'm like, you fucking ruined it. Now I'm not going to watch the second season of Reacher because you threw your political beliefs out there for everyone. Okay?
Second
You're
season,
a fucking
you mean
actor.
third season. It's on number 3 right now.
Okay, third season. Sorry, I'm not going to watch the third season.
Third season just started, I'm telling you.
Yes, third season. Sorry. You threw your political position out there. Now I'm not going to watch it. Okay? Because all you had to do was dance. You're a fucking monkey. You dance. You're an actor. That's your job, right? Okay? You're not a police officer. You're not a politician. You're not anything. You're an actor. So act, and that's it, right? So with all these companies and these actors throwing their political beliefs out there, it's going to fucking ruin them, you know? And so I'm not watching Reacher now and I was really looking forward to the third season, Gilly. I was looking forward to it. I'm not going to watch it now because of what the shit.
The second season was the best one, I thought, anyways.
I'm not going to go to Hooters now because they're woke. I don't go to Buffalo Wild Wings because they don't allow you to carry your weapon. I'm not going to, I don't go to the mall here because they don't allow you to carry your weapon. And you know what's crazy is they fucking have so many shootings at my mall. It's ridiculous. And it's like, it's a no carry zone. So when it comes to
I got a theory on that one. I got a theory on that one.
When it comes to political views and all these other issues, I'm to the point where I'm fucking over it and I will just write you off. So if Hooters is going to stand behind this, I will write them off in a heartbeat and not think twice about it because I can make wings 10 times better at my house by smoking them and frying them in my fryer. I don't care. And that's what they have to understand is people don't care what your beliefs are if you're a company because we just care about the product. And if you can't deliver the product without your beliefs, then you're going to go broke.
Well, the
That's
problem
what's
with
actually
like
happening
Buffalo
right now.
Wild Wings, right? The, the problem they ran into when they stopped fucking started serving these goddamn boneless wings. A wing is not boneless, people. Come on now.
No, and that's the thing is like they're saying boneless wing. I'm not going to even get into that argument. Boneless wing is not a boneless wing. It's not a wing. It's fucking chicken breast cut up.
It's a chicken nugget. It's what it is.
But what I'm saying is the fucking the carry permits, like being able to carry your weapon into Buffalo Wild Wings. I can't carry my weapon in. Fuck you. I'm done. I'm not going there anymore.
Well, who's
You're gonna,
behind
you're
that
gonna,
shit then?
Well,
huh?
Who's behind that shit?
A lot of people.
well, technically, you can still carry. You just got to carry concealed. Technically, you still can because if the gun is concealed good enough, no one's gonna know you're carrying. Plain simple.
Well, you're right, but my thing is I'm just not going to go there. Fuck them. Why give them my money? You
I
know.
quit going there years ago, man.
And oh, me too. Trust me, it's been years since they came. I haven't gone to Dick's Sporting Goods because AR-15s are the devil. Blah blah blah. Fuck off. I'm done with you. Not dealing with you anymore. I don't go to Buffalo Wild Wings. Hooters, if they want dicks hanging out of fucking shorts, that's on them. I won't go to them anymore. Like, these companies have to understand the stances they take are going to have a direct reaction effect to their business. You know.
Well, that's the thing, Brett. It's the reaction. The reaction is not what these people actually want. They're getting the opposite of that reaction, even though they've been trying to do this brainwashing to society and men for going on at least 40, 50 years now. And it really
It's
hard in the 80s, in the 90s. And by the time
it's
it was
crazy.
the 2010s, it was wide out open, bro.
You
And now
know
it's getting
what's
pushed back.
funny is you mentioned the 80s, right? I grew up in the 80s. I was
Mhm.
born in 80. So I remember watching the news when the AIDS outbreak happened and the word fag was all over the news. Like you couldn't like they did not stop saying the word fag. You know, if you're a fag, you got AIDS, and AIDS are being spread by fags and all. You know what? People didn't start getting soft until the mid to late 90s. And
Yeah,
it's
an office at that time.
bingo.
And who was that person married to?
Bingo.
And
And that's the thing
yeah,
is when you look at it,
Watching him for this dick suck.
and the problem is every president since then up until now has like been like, it's status quo. We're not gonna even touch that. Now you got a president that's like, no, we're done. Period. We're done. It's like that chick on TikTok, and she's got her own show now. She's got Tourette's. She's like, you're done. You're done. You know.
What do you expect from somebody who's married to a supermodel? I mean, he doesn't need a fucking intern sucking his dick.
No.
Supermodel.
And you don't got to be fucking gay. That's for goddamn sure. You know.
Well, speaking of it, certain intern, right? She's got her own podcast to fucking talk about that now.
Well, of course she does. Why wouldn't she? like, come on. I don't give a fuck if you're gay or not. You know.
Nobody
But
cares if you're gay or not. No one.
Here's the thing. You're not any more protected than I am. Okay. There's been an assault on white males for years now. An assault by the U.S. government, Department of Justice, everybody else. And I don't care what they say. They say, oh, black males have been assaulted and imprisoned more than any other race. Fuck off. They're the ones causing the fucking problems. They're the ones that are breaking the laws. White males are oppressed more than any other fucking race out there. Okay? Has nothing to do with race other than unless you're a white male. You've been oppressed more than anybody else.
yes,
So
but he's doing the oppressing.
the goddamn government. That's the problem.
Who are they using to do that, though?
Everybody.
Yeah.
Companies, the government, whether it's city, state, or federal, it doesn't
What
matter.
ideology dictates that? What ideology are they following?
Which one do you want to pick? Which
Spit a
one?
word out there, man.
Just
There's
pick
a
one.
couple. So when it comes down to it, the white male has been vilified so much. The Me Too movement and everything else. If you look at that Me Too movement and how many fucking males were arrested or charges pressed against as far as sexual assault, it would be 99% white male. Okay. This Diddy thing is going to blow everything up. And I hope it does. Because there's so many problems. And the Epstein and all that, yes, that's white males, but that's also black males and everybody else that has money.
Well,
It's anybody that has money for the Epstein. But when it comes to white males, we are the most oppressed right now compared to any other race and sex out there. And the trans people and everybody else wants to act like a victim right now. And they've had nothing but free range forever. And that's why I'm so glad Iowa is passing that law that says if you're trans and you read to a fucking kid at a library, it's illegal. Because there's no reason other than you being a trans person reading to a kid to try to get them to be okay with being trans. That's the only reason why you're gonna read to them. Period.
So again, what's the root cause of this?
So it's a control thing. It's a government control thing, and that's why everybody is so upset right now that Trump is in office. Because if Trump wasn't in office and it was a different group, okay, the previous group, or attached to the previous group of views, they would have a whole different view on it, right? So Trump is stopping it, and they're so upset right now that Trump is stopping it. They want the white male because the white male right now is the most successful in the, I don't want to say the world, but damn near close. If you look at the richest people in the world, they're mostly white males, right?
Who are the poorest, though?
Huh?
Who are also the poorest?
And yes and no. It depends on what you're comparing as far as poorest goes. Monetarily, the U.S. has the most billionaires in the world. Okay? Now, freedom-wise, not anymore. But we control the most in the world as far as economically. Politically, I would say probably the same as economically, but that was starting to shift. And now that Trump is back in office, that is going to shift again, and you're going to see that shift. So socially, economically, different ways, it's going to shift back to the U.S. Okay, and white males have been vilified for years, and I think you're going to see that go away. Historically, if you look at crime and you look at the breakdown of the different crimes and everything else, white males are not the number one of the food chain when it comes to it. We have white males have the most serial killers. That's a proven fact.
How are those serial killers made, bro?
Well,
that has to do with how their upbringing, you know.
Yeah.
Well, Lil Tate's got something on that.
Go for it.
On what?
When Hodge was talking about like
killer.
white, not serial killers, but like white male shit, right? You like, and you had something you want to say?
Was is like the tax bracket. If you want to go back, white single males have been taxed the highest since I started paying taxes in the military.
Mhm.
Actually, before that. So you're talking over fucking 30 years of the white single male being taxed the highest.
Out of both sexes, who pays the most taxes?
Males.
Right here.
Why
White,
is that?
no,
Why
no, white,
is that?
white males pay the most out of taxes. If you are any other ethnicity, you have tax deductions. We were taxed at a 23% margin every fucking year after that. And to go back to saying where males are being brought up by their mothers, and I'll tell you this right now, we talk about women and other things and we give them credit. They can be just as evil
If
as
not more.
what men can. And I have stories that I will not share on here, but in my past, I've seen very evil women do very evil things to men because they were upset of a boyfriend or a husband and things like that. That's all I'm going to say is, and that's
Well,
where you see the serial killer come from in a male. Look at the co-ed killer. Ed Kemper is a perfect example of what we're talking about.
What was his mom?
His mom did it. Read
Yeah.
his story.
What did she do to him?
yeah,
What did she say to him? That's what I'm talking about. What
she tortured
philosophy
him.
did that come
She
from?
she locked him in a basement. That was his bedroom. Was in the basement. He was locked in the basement. She hated him. It's the thing is like, so the serial killer, right? Psychology is very very amazing. I love psychology. I've studied psychology. I actually went to college for psychology. And when you look at like women serial killers and male serial killers, right? They all have they run a parallel. Okay. Most women serial killers were abused later on in life, not as young women, but older women. They've been abused, and that's what turned them into a serial killer. Most men that become serial killers were abused as young kids. If you look at their upbringing, they were abused, they were neglected, everything else. Women were later on in life, teenage to older. And so it's really interesting to see that when you compare crime and you look at how society treats their young, okay? And when I say how society treats their young, you look at white, you look at Asian, you look at black, you look at Mediterranean, you look at European, you look at Asian, okay? And you actually compare how they've treated their kids as they're growing up from birth to adulthood. And the African American group, the blacks, do not value, as far as if you look at it, do not value their kids near as much. And when I say that is they allow them to run the streets and go out and play, and no overview, no oversight, no protection. They let them do whatever they want. Okay. Me as a white male with kids, I don't even let them play out front because something could happen. So they have to be in my fenced in backyard. Okay. Asians, same thing. They don't let their kids go out and play. They make them do homework and learn and study. That's the difference in society and culture. So when it comes to now how things are done, it makes a huge difference in the psychology of each person that grows up and how they interact. So when you look at crime, the crime is higher on the African American side because they don't have consequences. They're allowed to do whatever they want. They have no value to life. Whereas you go to the Asian side, they're going to college. They're doing this, they're doing that. They're working at companies. The whites are kind of in between. So that's where the difference is coming. The Mexicans, they're working their ass off outside. They're doing the labor that nobody wants to do. They're family orientated and work orientated. That's it. That's all they fucking care about.
Well, and I'll have to I'll interject in there. I think that what you're saying, culture, even the black, I think white America is the same way too. I think anybody that's been Americanized for more than 1 to 2 generations is in this like lazy, not wanting to work entitlement almost. Because like I was saying earlier, my mother was the one, and I'm not going after women, but my mother, was my stable part growing up because I grew up in a divorced home. So having my mother with that strong work ethic that my grandfather had, that was taught to her, is what kept our generation, like Gen X, the way it is. And you're right. Like in the late 90s to 2000, you see that shift because you remember how corporal punishment used to be? Is like you
Yep.
can't beat your kids. Man, we got spanked in school when I was in elementary school. My great uncle was the assistant principal. So whenever I got in trouble, guess who I got to go see? Family. Family whooped my ass. And they didn't care. Like parents knew that if you got in trouble across the board and you got whipped, that was the way that it was. That was that accountability for parents. And it wasn't just, the black community. It's all communities that fall into that where they don't give a shit about what their kids were doing. We grew up, we could go out and play. Parents were like, "Hey, get the fuck out of the house, come back when the lights come on." And we abide by it. There was places that all of us, when I guarantee it, from our childhood, we probably shouldn't have been there, but we made it home. And like we were saying earlier, way back, money, survival, we were taught survival and resilience, man. Like you got to rely on yourself, man. Like you can't have all of these things to take care of you. You got to take care of yourself because ain't no motherfucker going to take care of you after 18 unless now you're on the government teat. You want to suck off welfare and suck off fucking all the food stamps, but that's just, the way that I see it. I mean, we were all taught that shit, as Gen X. And,
Yeah.
People just don't fucking care about their kids anymore. Sorry.
I see it all the time. I see 3 and 4 year olds running around the block with no parents. It's like, where's your fucking parent? How are they making sure you're safe? How making sure you're not running out in the street? There's just no care to it. It's crazy. I don't understand it.
Well,
But
and it goes back to like parents caring because I'll tell you a story. Like when I lived in Florida, right? I was like, what, 10 or 11? Me and Gilly were talking about operations and shit. And I was at a friend's house down in Florida, right? DeLand, Florida. And we were being stupid, fucking had a big basketball goal on top of like nailed to a pine tree, right? So we were putting fucking sawhorses together and making a platform, trying to fucking dunk this thing at like 12 feet, right? Well, my ass fucking jumps up, fucking dunks it, right? Bounces off the fucking rim, right? Just like a white dude would. Can't fucking make a dunk. And I fall down and I break my arm on the tree stump, like the roots themselves. His parents were so scared that we were gonna sue them for me getting hurt on their property. You know what I mean? Like that shit is what parents were thinking back then. Fuck, somebody's gonna sue me. Oh, fuck, somebody's gonna sue me. And that's where you're at now. Like fucking people don't even want to let their kids out to go anywhere on top of it because you're gonna get sued. I didn't even want to put a pool in my backyard because of the rules that are out there, having a fence, signs. In case a kid drowned in my pool, I'm now liable. Not only do I feel bad for the kid that were to drown, but now I'm fucking liable for, you know what I mean? It's turned everybody cold hearted. They're like,
Yep.
I don't even want to do these things anymore. And like you're saying,
Yeah.
they're not even paying attention. They're not even teaching them. But the point was, my dad was like, if you fuck yourself up, that's your own fucking fault, though. You know what I mean? Like you grow up fine, but when you get to be, preteen, you're like, well, you know what, motherfucker, you're gonna start learning. I don't know. That's just my take on it, I guess. Whooping ass, man. Corporal punishment.
There we go.
In Virginia, I can still take my wife to the courthouse steps and fucking whip her with a switch the size of my thumb. That's on the law books in Virginia, who has a flag of a woman standing over a man. So you tell me how the fuck that works.
See, here in Missouri, when it comes to school whippings, right? They can still do it, but the parents have to agree to it, and
Yeah.
the parents have to be there. You know,
All
Rocky,
right, guys.
you're looking
I
like
gotta go
fucking.
cook dinner.
All right, now
You
Rocky,
out?
you look like Speedy Gonzalez over there. Fucking old. Did you take a gubby?
No, no,
He's
I gotta go
he's
cook
looked like Speedy
some smash
Gonzalez with
burgers.
his eyes. I was like, oh
You guys
yeah.
are cracking me up because at the source of it, I said it's all sex and money.
Yeah. I mean, Thumper, if you got to be out, brother, I mean, wish you well. And I think we're going to keep going for a little bit.
Well, we're at like 2 hours and 30 minutes, boys.
Who
This
gives a fuck? Let's go.
I got the kids I gotta go cook dinner for, so
All
I
right,
gotta
brother.
go. I'm cooking some smash burgers tonight, so
Do you want to ding him out, Rocky, really quick?
yeah, I'll do Thumper.
Helper departing.
All right, you ready, bud?
Sasquatch depart. No, baby Boswell. Baby Boswell. There we go.
Baby Boswell departing.
I didn't hear it.
I'll see you guys later.
All right, man.
Oh shit! No! Wait! I gotta fix it. I gotta fix it. Hold on. I
What?
gotta do this. We can't do it because it was heard. We can't go out like that. That was stupid. All right, here we go. Baby Boswell, also known as Thumper, departing.
Oh shit.
Oh my god.
Trying to figure it out. I got to turn it up.
There's a slight delay in turning off. Okay.
Yeah, you took a gummy, didn't you?
No,
Oh yeah, you did.
I've been drinking.
Oh, he's been hiding in
Okay.
the cider.
Because you talked about taking a gummy before, right?
I did, but I didn't.
But I just figured because your eyes, right, especially like around here, I was like, oh yeah,
My wife
he
says
took
I got,
one.
I got. She's so messed up, man. But it's funny. She's like, "You got chinky eyes.
Yeah. I mean,
Like you
you
look like
look
you're
like Speedy
Chinese.
Gonzalez right now,
Like
brother.
you look like you're Chinese." And I'm like, "Well, I am Chinese. You know, I'm part Guamanian and Chinese." So
That's like sometimes when I get smiling, real big, right? Everyone thinks I'm a cheek or part cheek, right? But I'm not.
yeah, but like it's just funny because you know, everything that we talked about today revolved around sex and money.
That's sexual money.
And
Exactly.
and yeah, because there's somebody above us that knows about sex and money and how it motivates either sex. And then they twist it all around to make us all stupid asses, even though we're stupid asses on our own because we're human and we're not perfect and we're sinners. So, sex and money, though.
Exactly, though. I mean, oh, good Lord. Because we've been going for quite a while now.
Yeah, I gotta eat dinner.
Are you getting hungry now, ain't you?
Yeah, I haven't ate all day.
He
I
hangry?
eat once a day. That's all I eat. Just
No,
once.
I'm not hangry. Right now, I'm not hangry. I've been having my coffee with Kahlua and freaking Bailey's Irish Cream in it. This is
Oh,
like,
he's making a good one.
dude, a lot of shots of both in there.
Now, I want to see you in a fucking
But this is my second one today of it.
but I want to see you on a gummy. That's what I want to see.
Man, no, you don't want to see him on a gummy. Did you see all the texts we got the other night? He was down in the rabbit hole. He's digging in fucking China. Motherfucker, like bling, 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 bling.
That's why when I go to bed, I put my phone on fucking silent.
That's why I texted, man. Get out of the hole, dude.
Well, just like with Thumper, we was fucking sharing shit. He's like, hey guys, I'm trying to sleep.
Yeah, it's the same shit. Like Rocky's saying, it goes back to like sex and money.
Yeah.
And like for everybody out there that's listening, like these are the things you need to look at. You can take our point of view and you may have similar views, and remember, you're not always alone, in some of the things you think. That's the whole point, is to have your own point of view. Look at what's around you and interpret it, because not everybody's the same. That's the whole great thing about it. We're all different.
But you interpret it with logic and not emotion.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you can have emotion in it, but not, like passion. Like when you want to find something that's logical, have some passion and driving to that point. That there's a difference in passion and fucking, almost being fucking psychotic. You know what I mean? Like these people that keep talking about these things on the left are just like they're dying on these hills, like we're talking about inseminated women. Like, are you fucking kidding me right now? Like, you're gonna keep going and pushing this to remove women as a name or female? Like, come on, man. Like, this is too.
Bizarre, isn't it not? It's very bizarre.
It is. It's very bizarre that you
Well,
would you
kind of
would
like
choose that.
the Maine governor, gonna die on that hill for allowing this new fucking male that could not compete in pole vault, right? And then win the pole vault and the females. She gonna die on that hill when Trump called her out.
Mhm.
That brunch. Come on now.
Yeah. And the crazy thing is, what you don't see is that there are plenty of people in the state that are against it. Like they're not even listening to their own constituents.
Yeah.
That's what irks me the most. Is these politicians were meant to go for their constituents, right? And they go against them because of their own fucking ideologies. It's like, no, you were elected because of what they believe,
But I
right?
want to. But what I want to see is how many of those constituents, right, email them, right? I want to see the percentage of that. Because I know for a fact, if I don't agree with something that fucking Josh Hawley says, right, or Eric Schmidt, the two senators we have, the Republican, right, for here in Missouri,
Yeah.
I'll email them and say, pretty much, what the fuck? I did that when Josh Hawley voted no fucking on the PACT Act, right? I got an email back saying, well, Jason, if you would have seen all the pork in there, everything that did not pertain to the PACT Act, to the veterans, he said, you would have voted no too, probably. I said, well, yeah, you're right.
And that's the key thing is like I don't want people, like you're saying, I don't want people to get disheartened because they email and they don't get an answer they want. The key thing is to keep doing it. Get everybody to email them. Stay fucking emailing.
Yeah.
Get in there. That's the whole part about being active, right? You don't have to be these fucking Antifa fucks protest. Your protest goes to your fucking senator.
Yeah.
You start emailing, flood them like we were talking about the VA stuff.
Yep.
Flood Doug Collins, let's get the message out there. Like when we started this podcast,
Yep.
we love getting information out, but that's the key is the core of the veterans, military and even non-military, maybe a spouse, may not have anything included. That's the key. The key is local and to your constituents.
Yep.
That's where, you know what? I'm going to go on my soapbox. That's where the communists got their claws in, was in the local government side. You got federal judges, you got fucking state judges, circuit court, all the way down, even into the fucking school districts. All of that is built where we're all sleeping. Like, oh, no big deal. And I blame us, Generation X. We fucking slept on this shit. We really did.
Well,
Now it's biting us in the ass 20 years later.
well, actually, that goes back to our parents too, because they slept on what fucking Hitler did and what Russia's done with the sleeper agents, right? I mean, there's two generations we could fucking our generation and our parents' generation too.
Yeah.
Because our grandparents' generation actually brought in fucking the Nazis for our science fucking projects.
Well, and it goes back to the thing about good times. Like we were riding on that high tide wave, you know what I mean? Like we were like, cool, we're good, dude. And then bam, and now we're here now.
Yeah.
Everybody thinks it's like, a few years. We're talking generations is where it goes. And that's where we talked about Yuri Bezmenov, getting communism in is over 2 generations.
Yep.
Now, what are all the offshoots of communism? That'll explain a lot of other stuff.
Yeah.
I
mean, because you can disagree with me. I don't care. We're socialists. We have socialist programs. and they're not all bad. Don't get me wrong, but they're not used correctly.
Yeah, but I also think that we're capitalist and it's a mix of both of them together.
Yes, 100%. We are.
And whatever one doesn't agree with, they just keep quiet about and do regardless.
Mhm.
What's it's like
Because
when welfare started, okay? I've
money.
never been against helping people, right? That truly need it, right? That truly need the help. One thing I've always fucking hated is the ones that take advantage of that shit and use it as a fucking career. You know, and welfare can be tied to socialism right there.
Yeah. I mean, that's the old adage is we protect democracy, but we don't practice it.
Yeah. And technically, we're not a democracy. We were a republic constitution.
Yeah, constitutional republic. I know what you're saying. And
And
like
that's
back to
what,
my point, we're a mixed economy. Like I love capitalism, but socialism has its place and need to help people like FEMA, right? People that get hurt, the Palisade wildfires in LA. Some of those people didn't elect for that fucking bureaucracy, but they deserve the money that they paid in the taxes to help them get restarted. And it should be equal across the board. That's what the federal government, that funding should be. Depending on that disaster, that's what gets covered through there.
That's kind of what was being revealed by the fire in the first place and the philosophy between the firefighters and the other people and the governments that had jobs that had required them to have water, which they had shut off on purpose.
yeah. And Mel
So,
Gibson, Mel Gibson talked about that. I think he was on Joe Rogan's podcast, right?
Mhm.
He said, why'd they shut the water off? And Hollywood and all them's going after him now. And he don't care. But he was just,
Yeah,
hey,
but
why
remember,
did you shut the water off?
it was that woman that got like $750,000 a year to make sure that we had water or something like that.
She was in charge of water management,
Something
like
like that.
reservoirs and shit. It's what makes it so disgusting to the American people, and that's what everybody noticing is these seditious acts that are played behind our backs, and we knew that it was there, but we couldn't prove it, and now you're seeing it proven. Like that these seditious acts are being done right behind your back, even though we knew it. Everybody knew it. Like we've already talked about it. Prior to this, before Doge was doing its thing, it was there. And now it's like, oh shit, the conspiracy theories are, becoming real. And that's the scary part is
And
that all of the shit we talked about is becoming real.
well, and and the people that's crying the loudest did not want that veil lifted at all.
And
Just
who
think about it.
controls
Look who's
it?
crying the loudest, right? The leftist. We're taking away their fucking piggy bank. And some of the Republicans too. Not just the left, but some of the ones on the right too.
Republicans are keeping quiet because they know fucking better because they're letting the Democrats fucking yell out loud. So it's not cleaning out all the swamp because the swamp is staying silent on one side of the aisle.
Yeah.
Don't get it twisted.
Yeah, and those are the worst ones of all because they say they're something that they're not.
Yes.
Kind of like Dan Crenshaw. He says he's one thing, but no. He's just as bad as the guys on the left.
Yeah.
And those are the ones you got to look for, and those are the ones that now are getting fucking fired out of the DOD and all the other places now.
Well, just like the fucking CNO, right? She was CNO, right?
Yeah.
She got fired, and the guy that was over the Air Force, right? He got fired too. Okay. Military should not have no politics, anyways. Those appointments, what they got, should never be political at all. That's one thing I like about Hedsec. He even said it should not be political, period.
No, that's like we covered the Army bases, a few of those misappropriations of funds that, the Army personnel is paying for. Military personnel are paying for their food. And you fucking misappropriate it. Like, that's, like I said before, it's the most fucking disgusting thing ever. It's like a slap in the face and a tea bag right after. And that I guarantee that's not only the Army. I guarantee it's happening everywhere else in the armed forces.
Yep.
Maybe not the Air Force. Air Force gets pretty good fucking food too. But
They got
You
to
know,
me, they got the
and
best.
actually, you know what? I'm wrong. The Marines. The Marines passed their fucking audit. The only branch that said, "Hey, we're good to go. Watch this. All of our crayons are in a row. We're good." You know what I mean? Like they had their shit straight. They're not in a deficit
Or
anymore.
they just ate the crayons. No.
And a buffet.
Yeah.
But you know that's and their Department of the Navy. So how the fuck does the Marines pass their audit, but the fucking Navy doesn't?
Uh-huh.
You know what I mean? Like, what the fuck is shifted when they're both part of the same fucking department?
Yep.
Now that gives the Marines the argument of maybe we should break off from fucking Navy. We don't want to be attached to these fucking shitheads.
Oh,
It all has to do with politics,
Yeah, it does.
social engineering.
Yep.
That's the bad part about socialism is all the social engineering that manipulates others. There's bad offshoots of that shit.
All right, let's go ahead and wind us down, fellas. I can tell
No,
Rocky he's getting.
roll.
Look at him. Look at him.
Look at behind him. He's like, "Rah."
That was, dude, I have a couple of goof off pictures with me in uniform, and I think they're pure gold. I laughed at myself. I didn't realize how silly it was until I saw it. And of course, I sent them to my wife. She loved it.
That's fine.
Then I had like big ones, like 8x12s printed out.
All right. Well, I'll just, I'll close that before Rocky rings us out. This is for everybody that's out there. Just watch, man. Pay attention. Live life. Have a good time. But, get informed. Stay informed. Don't fucking watch what mainstream media says. Hell, you don't even have to believe whatever we're saying. Take whatever we're saying and go fucking, look it up, and prove us wrong. None of us are mad about it. If you prove us wrong, it's like, okay, cool. Prove us wrong. That's the whole point. Isn't that what science was about? Like, prove me wrong. Religion was the same thing. Prove me wrong, and they're starting to be proven right. So,
yeah, it is. And then they're finding the science in documents that are thousands of years old.
yeah, imagine that.
All right, Rocky, dig us out.
Hey,
All right.
think we want to honor anybody? Moment of silence.
How about Buchanan?
Okay.
Anybody like Buchanan? IC3 Buchanan.
Yeah.
I remember him.
I was on that cruise when it happened, but that's for another time.
Yep.
Fair winds and following seas.
Until we see him again in David Jones' locker, brother.
Close us out, right?
Ding,
All
ding.
right.
Jackasses departing.
No, Pfeiffer's. Pfeiffer's departing.